Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Longplay Club for Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. Oh shit.
Snake Eater!
Okay, sorry.
Christian's eating too many snakes.
Yeah, dude.
Honestly,
You got something in your throat?
yeah, you got a snake in your throat.
That was good.
Thank you.
I'm just gonna start again.
Okay.
Damn, I would have kept that.
My joke is gone.
I know.
Yeah? Oh, okay, you know what? Well, we can keep it. It's fine. It was a good joke. It was a good
Let's
joke.
go.
Thank you.
Go.
We're keeping it just because of the joke. I'm the host, Christian Buckley. My codename is Scorpion. It is no longer that. Joining us this week, top left, we got Jack Martin, codename Elephant.
I'm very sad that I will no longer have that code name because I got a new one.
Mm-hmm.
And it's quite the opposite of an elephant, let me tell you.
Oh boy.
So, looking forward to letting you guys know what I got for my arduous work of not killing a single soul in this game. Also worth noting, I told Christian this. I went and beat this game like we all did, and then I went back and I fucking platinumed this game.
Damn.
I got the platinum trophy in this.
What a king.
Congratulations.
And it's the easiest Metal Gear Solid platinum, let me tell you. And it's a pretty decent platinum.
All right. Well, very, very interesting. That's kind of tempting, honestly.
Yeah.
Joining us as well, Omar Nakvi, codename Jaguar.
Hey.
How you doing?
Good. I'm still a jaguar, not the spoil, but I'm proud.
Oh, yeah. Rounding out the Longplay Club, we also have Kevin Diaz, codename Jaguar as well.
Guys, we got the meme status. We have a new code name. No spoilers. Got a new code name as well. MGS3, yeah, interesting discussion we're going to talk about here for sure, definitely. So I'm excited to talk about it.
Me too. So this is part 4 of Snake Eater, the final week. The next time you see us gathering together, we will be discussing Act 1 of Guns of the Patriots. But picking up where we left off last week, we fought at the end. I think almost immediately we pick up and then we just go into or we have to navigate back down, or no, wait, we go up the mountain, right? Because we have to do the ladders first.
Yeah. Which I remembered being after a different boss, but apparently right after the end. That was totally... I forgot that. Yeah,
so after the end dies, his poison ivy powers kick in, or actually they die off, and then the tunnel opens up, and immediately in the tunnel there's a corridor, there's a ladder. You climb this ladder, and Kevin, tell me what it was like climbing this ladder.
It was it's so subtle, it's so small, but it's one of, if not my favorite moment in the entire Metal Gear series as up to this point. It is something that, dude, I love it. So it's just the vocals, a cappella, if you will, of Snake Eater, the song, and it is beautiful. It is a really good moment in this game. And it's wild because it's really not a big deal. You're just going up a ladder, here's some vocals, but no, it's, I don't know, I just feel like it set a tone of hey, this shit is gonna get real. It felt like the game really started at that point, to be honest. For me, and that's kind of wild because that was on episode 3 or 4 or whatever. No, 4. Yeah, 4. But yeah, that's where the game really started for me, and I feel like this game ends really, really strong, but I think it's still kind of bogged down by a lot of different things, But yeah, this is the start of a really good section. Yeah,
I mean, it's the theme song, right? So it's hitting, presumably where it all starts, because you're right, the rest of this game is really good, and then everything else so far has just been the way we've been talking about it. But I'm glad to hear you didn't hate this, because this is one of those Metal Gear things that people talk about all the time of oh, the series, and they're the Psycho Mantis fight and that part in Snake Eater where you climb the ladder and it's really long. Omar, you have a hit or miss appreciation, I feel like, for some of those big moments for Metal Gear. What do you think of the ladder?
Well, I think last week I said this week has one of my favorite set pieces in Metal Gear. It's the ladder.
Hell
it was
yeah.
the ladder. Hey, I love that shit so much.
It's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good. So good. I don't think I understand. Wait, were you saying like people don't like this ladder?
People
section?
don't like the ladder. They think it's too long, or they just think it's kind of like a throwaway whatever thing. I don't know.
I really don't understand the Metal Gear fan base, guys. Like the way some people are calling this game the best Metal Gear. Spoiler alerts. I'm not sure where they're coming from with that. I don't understand that. How do you hate the ladder?
It's great because they use what is so amazing about one of the best parts of Metal Gear Solid 3, the theme song.
Mm-hmm.
You've already, when you booted up the game, you heard it once, probably, unless you skip that. In part 1, after the Virtuous Mission, you heard that. And then they bring it back, like what Kevin said, they strip it down, and they use it in such an interesting way of making such like a monotonous activity of climbing the world's largest ladder, and putting that in there and surprising players in like the best possible way, because every time you'll jump into it, you know it's, if you played it before, you know it's coming, but you don't know when it starts, and then it fucking hits, and it hits hard. And like I said, I went back and I replayed it for the Platinum Trophy, and I noticed that they time it in such a way that as soon as you exit that ladder, it ends, like properly ends. Like you get like the final like snake eater, and it's like, oh man, I think that is like one of the most precise, beautiful moments in a video game that I've played, and yeah, it's incredible. And I like the way that Kevin described it, where it's like it feels like the game really started picking up at that point, because immediately after, I personally really loved that section of open world. I know we discussed like not enjoying some of the environments, but I really liked the mountaintop right after the ladder.
Yeah.
Dude, I sucked so much shit at that mountaintop. I kept getting wasted on that thing. I don't know. It's like the don't those guys bring out RPGs, or maybe you didn't get caught. I kept getting caught in RPGs, and helicopters kept coming after me. It was straight up a GTA mission at some point. Like I don't know what was going on, but it looked.
Did
gorgeous.
you have the animal camo?
No.
I had the animal camo, which made me look like a tiger, and I just crawled around the whole time.
Did you ever get caught?
Nope.
Damn.
Savage.
Because my camo was at like 95%, so I was literally like crawling next to guards. So that was nice.
Damn. Yeah, I don't even know if my camo was ever that good. I feel like the highest I got was like 80. Because I didn't have the animal camo here, but I did have chocolate chip. I think I got that from the... I got it from the lab with the lab from last week. I forget the name of it.
Grandin's lab, right?
Yes. It was on like a balcony. So I did a bunch of exploration of that base, and I got the chocolate chip stuff, and that was my most effective thing, and I'm still at like 70% for the mountaintop. But yeah, this was like half sneak and then half just blitzing up the mountain. Like it was tough. I felt like there wasn't a simple, straightforward way for you to not get caught at least once.
Are you guys telling me you didn't get on those turrets and shoot down helicopters?
No, I ran.
You
shot down helicopters.
Oh, snap.
Okay.
Anytime a helicopter would show up, I would just like hit the dirt and just lay there for it to pass.
Dude, I killed like 8 of them on that thing.
Wow.
It was nuts.
Wow. I didn't realize that the helicopters were even attacking you. Straight up. Like I never got shot or anything from the helicopter, at least as far as I'm aware. I thought they were just kind of like recon helicopters, just passing by. I don't know. I didn't realize that those were enemies. Well, like they're enemies, but like enemies that would actually attack you.
Right.
Yeah, but
interesting.
Yeah. Any other difficulties getting up? Like Omar, was it a big firefight for you the whole time, or how?
I was constantly in the alert state, just going around. So you can see, I don't know. I killed some birds. That was cool, and it was just really a struggle, especially because like pyro guys come out at some point too, right? Did you guys see pyro guys?
I got pyro guys on my way back outside.
Same.
Okay, maybe that's what happened.
Yeah, that was after the Eva cutscene.
All right.
Yeah,
but Yeah, it is a good environment. I think maybe just because it makes sense. Like the jungle, I feel like we all had our issues with because the jungle feels like it's not a jungle, and it's just like the stuff that they're doing to make it feel like a jungle is taking away from the design of it. Here, it's like, I mean, it's a corridor, right? Like this could have been the interior of a building from like 2 or 1, but it's just an outdoor mountain side, you know? So like, I think on that level, that's why for me it just clicked better, and I had a good time in this environment. And honestly, I probably would have liked it if it was more mountain sneaking than jungle sneaking.
That's what I liked about it, because it, like what you said, it felt very narrow, and there weren't many places you could go. There was kind of just brush through it. And yeah, if you have the right camo, or if you had like good enough camo, it helped a lot. We were just crawling on the ground basically. And I think it's the most different from what we've seen before, because we were just essentially in kind of boring woodland environments that didn't really have anything unique to them, but I think this one kind of stands out, and it makes you play the game differently when like seeing the helicopters just sitting down for a little bit and then keep going, and you basically have to attack guards at some point because they're like on that like sort of narrow cliff area, and yeah, I like that. I think this was one of the standout sections in terms of like the more open environments of the game.
Something I loved about it too was that if you killed soldiers here, almost immediately like vultures would show up and just start eating their bodies. I don't know if anybody else had that, but
no, I was tranking them like a civilized person. What the fuck?
Same. Yeah, I remember seeing a big bird, and I was like, damn, that's a big ass bird. But yeah, I don't know if they were like picking at the bodies that weren't dead, because I didn't kill nobody either. Yeah, I just used the old easy gun guy. Like, listen, the easy gun might be my favorite weapon. I don't know. It's pretty efficient. I tell you guys.
I'll tell you what. I popped in on very easy to do the platinum run, and that easy gun is so much fun. You get a laser guided trank gun that has infinite ammo.
It is a delight.
You just shoot someone in the toe and they're gone. They're just knocked out for the rest of the game. It's amazing. I love the easy gun. It does like lessen the game in a certain respect, but just to get through the game and play it, it's really fun because you're just tranking fools left and right, and it's a delight.
Yeah, it's cool that's in there. I'm surprised because I don't think I had that. I'm playing on easy, but that must be very easy only.
Yeah,
but interesting. So we get up this mountain. We are met by Eva, changing because of course, and she gives us food. I just thought this was funny. She was like, "It's a well-balanced meal for the space age. It's fucking ramen. It's ramen noodles, like instant ramen." I was like, "Okay, sure."
Oh man.
Oh, were we gonna say something?
They looked really good. Some good-looking ramen.
No, yeah, it looked good for sure.
Rest in peace to the Nongshim CEO who died this week.
Oh damn!
Oh, for real?
Man made many balanced meals and products.
R.I.P. to the
homie. Yeah. What was I gonna say? I don't know. Was Eva being horny here again?
Yeah. Wait.
Was the camera?
More so than ever.
Yeah.
She was like, "This is the scene where she was like, I bet if I kissed you, you'd taste like a beast or something like that."
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
This is gnarly. I don't know.
The wildest line is in the cave, which we'll definitely get to. Yeah, that line was
the Austin Powers section.
Yeah.
That's yes, Jack. That's okay. We'll get there when we get there. But oh my god,
this game is just we'll get there when we get there. But oh man.
Something. So we also hear this is where we like get the lowdown on not Raiden, the military officer, and we also I thought this was funny again. Naked Snake being a jackass. He was like, Eva said that she put some escape thing in place, right? And he's like, I can't fly that. And she's like, oh no, I can fly it. I'm a great pilot. And he's like, I don't know about that. Like, are you sure you can fly? Like, it's really hard. It's like this fucking guy, like,
oh man,
he can't fly, and then he's criticizing her. I was like, okay, Snake,
real.
okay.
Yeah.
Was there any other takeaways from this? Because this is where we just get our next objective. We see the weapons factory in the distance, and we have to head back down to the underground passage.
There's like a small cutscene of Volgin and all the bad guys grouped in one. Granon's dead after Volgin's like, I think he was the spy.
Dude, Granon dies awesomely. If I might just add, like, he's in a barrel and Volgin keeps tossing him up or exploding him, and he keeps coming towards the screen. I don't know. He's getting tossed around. It's awesome.
Can someone explain does he keep bullets in his knuckles, Volgin, and then like electrifies them and punches people?
I think the way I've been viewing it is that he has the bullets between his knuckles, so that when he punches something with the electricity, it acts like the hairpin of like a gun. So it like,
gotcha.
At the punch impact, it fires a bullet as well. I think that's what he does.
Yeah,
he's just extra as hell.
Yeah,
yeah,
can't
that's
just
what
be Electro. Just to cute people.
But
this is also the scene where I think the boss says, "I'm gonna find that Davy Crockett."
Yes,
referring to Snake as an American, I guess. Just, I don't know. Just some of the line readings. They kind of come off as funny to me.
This scene is also the first name drop of the Philosopher's Legacy. We introduced that concept here, and for Jack and Omar, I'm returning to this game, right? I completely forgot that was a thing that we dealt with in this game. I don't know if you guys forgot about it, but
yeah.
I think there's a lot of stuff in this game. It's like a weird reference to past Metal Gear games where you would expect things like this to be important, and they're really not. It's kind of like a strange like twist of an homage to previous Metal Gear stuff, and I don't recall the Philosopher's Legacy all that much. I'm not sure if it really even has all that much impact in the greater Metal Gear story. Given that I forgot that, and having played through all the Metal Gear games, so yeah, I don't know.
But yeah,
it's a little strange.
Later, not too much later, but Vulcan is like, "Oh, you mean the $100 billion split between hidden across the Earth by the three global powers?" And it's like, okay, sure, like somebody wants that, I'm sure, but like not us.
It seems very boring.
Yeah,
to me.
Yeah, and I think, Jack, what you were saying reminds me of something Omar brought up I think either last episode or the week before, but like just this game following the motions of the Metal Gear template, specifically I guess with the bosses, but like not doing anything with it, just like doing it to do it. It's so, yeah, very much the Philosopher's Legacy. I was like, well, first I was like, okay, philosophers, there's the Patriots, there's philanthropy, there's all these PHs things. I was like, it's one of them. Sorcerers. Yeah. But
in Britain it was reversed. It was actually the Sorcerer's Legacy.
Yeah.
So Kevin, hearing them introduce this concept, like you're saying, you climbed the ladder, you thought like, oh, the game's really about to hit, and then you get this new MacGuffin, I guess, they throw at you. Like, what do you think of the Philosopher's Legacy when you hear it?
Like they said, essentially what I'm pretty sure it is, and that's it. Like just the abundation of money from the what was it, U.S., China, and I think the USSR against the Axis powers, I think, or something like that, right? So I thought there was going to be more to it, but I think it ends up being literally just that, you know? So it's like, I don't know, it's pretty boring, I guess, but
yeah, it's just money.
It is what it is. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Quick fact check. I believe Granon introduced the Philosopher's Legacy when we played through last week, but I think it was just like a name drop. Like, yeah, the Philosopher's Legacy, and that was it.
Right.
Thank you. So
it's such a cool name, if I might say. I think
it's a cool name for just a bunch of money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like they introduced that, and you think back to like, oh, like something like Fox Die or something like GW, like all these cool names for like these really interesting sci-fi military like gimmicks, I guess, for the series, and then they introduce this cool one that has a great name, and it's like it's $100 billion. Okay, what good is that going to do you? You have a fucking tank that can launch a missile anywhere. Like, what's the benefit of 100 billion? But yeah. So after that sort of is the trigger for, I guess, the end objectives of the game, right? Like, we see that we get our final mission of, hey, infiltrate the base, find Sokolov. Obviously it goes wrong, and then we get the final stretch. So was there anything on the way to the Fury that stood out to anybody? I was doing a lot of stealth. I don't know if anybody else was struggling or getting caught, but
you mostly replay the section prior where you're like going up through like the trenches.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, like what Omar said, there's the flame troopers now, which I was very terrified of, but I'm pretty sure they just take a trink like any other guard does, but they look real scary.
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah, they do. Heck yeah, Jack. They definitely just take a trink and they're all good. Trust.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Did it take you guys a long time to get through there, though? Because I just like hugged the wall and dropped down, and I was at the door immediately.
Yeah. Same.
So.
Yeah, I looked into it, I feel like.
Well, we have our next member of Gru, one of the Cobras, the Fury. I don't know how you all feel, but this, I think, is my favorite of the Cobras.
Dude,
yes.
Yeah, alright.
Yes.
He's cool as fuck.
Yeah.
He's cool as fuck.
He
cool.
came from space.
Yeah, dude. Like,
Yeah.
So cool.
He
Yeah.
actually
So
has a
cool.
cool backstory, unlike any of the other villains we face. That's amazing.
Good performance too. I know that's Richard Doyle. He shows up again in Metal Gear Solid 4. Not that character, I'm sorry, but like the voice actor again.
Mm-hmm.
But
I know who he plays.
yeah, right. Okay, cool. Very excited. But yeah, just the concept of that guy just saying he's from space was so sick to me.
Yeah, and in adding all the like, yeah, he was a cosmonaut, and saying that he came down from space and saw a world on fire.
Yeah.
And like, what a great line! And then the imagery of like an actual like shuttle coming down and like it flaming on the outsides, and adding in the like mission control lines you can hear in the background.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think they nailed the Fury. The Fury is a Metal Gear Solid ass boss, unlike most of the other Cobras in this.
Yeah, and I think what's frustrating, or like, because I loved it, but seeing him and like fighting him, I was like, man, all of them could have been like this. Because I think the thing that works so well for me here, and what I hate about the other ones, is that the other ones feel like you could slap them into one of the future timeline games, and it will be like, if you gave him a backstory, it's like, okay, this all makes sense, this science and all that. But this dude is rooted in this era, like, he is Cold War, space exploration, man on the moon, all that stuff. Like, I feel like Gru could have been so much cooler if they really went in on the era and committed to it. Because, like, this guy doesn't have wild powers or anything super complex or things that we've seen already in the future because of new technology. Like, he's wearing a jetpack and he's got a flamethrower and he's kind of insane. Like, that's awesome. And he just loves space. Like, I feel like we could have done so much more with that stuff, with like stuff of the 60s. Some guy that's like, I don't know, obsessed with JFK. Like, make someone who's like relevant to the time that doesn't feel like they could be anywhere else. Because that's the beginning of this game has a big identity problem, I think.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, because when I did this boss fight, I had the same thoughts. Like why weren't they all like this? Like, it just feels like the beginning of the game almost like was just supposed to be a survival game, full through and through, right? And they just threw in these random bosses that all you had to do is just shower them with bullets and like you're done, as opposed to this boss fight where there's a little bit of strategy here, like there's terms of, hey, like when Woody's counting down, he's gonna take off, like stuff like that. Like, it was not the most complex boss fight, but I thought it was a lot of fun, and definitely was a lot more strategy in there than the previous boss fights. Yeah.
Do you think this is Kojima's first Luden?
No, Omar, I wrote down in my notes Death Stranding vibes from the Fury.
Cool.
It like
Good point. Yeah.
I just, I mean, I think it's a cool fight too because I think all of the games so far have a boss with a projectile in a corridor environment, right? Like there's Raven, to I guess Fat Man kind of, but the projectile is him. So again, it's like filling a role, but it fits to what they're doing or what the game tries to be doing to find its own identity. And I appreciate it because, like Kevin said, there is some sort of strategy to it, to the point where I was just trying to hide from him a lot. And when he was like getting frustrated, I just threw grenades at him. And he has a great delivery. He's like, son of a bitch! Like, he put a grenade in on it. It was so funny. It's so good.
It reminded me a lot of the Vulcan Raven fight, because I think most of the Metal Gear fights are, hey, you're seen, you can't really be sneaking, even though the rest of the game is all about not being seen. And you're sort of trapped in like a high alert state and like having to face off one-on-one versus the boss. But with this one and in the Vulcan Raven fight from Metal Gear Solid 1, you're sort of like hiding away and attacking at like opportune moments and then sneaking back into the shadows. So I think this one sort of stands out against the rest of the Metal Gear Solid fights, but I think it fits in very well, having a very compelling villain that we don't really get too much about, but we get just enough to be like, this is a really interesting character and I'd like to know more about his backstory before just fucking wasting this dude. But yeah, I think the set piece of the Fury fight was pretty incredible, and the Fury in the end I think are easily the two best Cobras in this game.
I would agree. Omar, any other things you want to get in about the Fury before we move on?
All I remember is I think the music was really good too. Like that scene is it's definitely got horror vibes, I feel like, for a lot of it.
Yeah. But. Yeah, it reminds me of just like especially when like the helmet broke off and you just see like his face is all burnt like beneath his mask.
Yeah.
Very cool. So after the best boss fight so far, IMO, we get to Groznygrad. Is that how you pronounce it? I'm forgetting.
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I think it's Groznygrad.
At this point, my suppressors are all gone, so I'm running through this entire base with just a fucking knife.
Oh no!
I kind of struggled maneuvering around here. I called Major a couple times to get some semblance. I kind of forgot that the map gave you a waypoint sometimes, but I ended up stumbling into the entrance to the sewers in the like northwest. I think when we were supposed to go to the northeast, but Omar, how did you fare getting through Groznygrad on your way to the lab?
I think just fine. There was a spotlight somewhere that I knew to dodge, but otherwise it was a lot less bad than I was expecting. Yeah, I don't know, how do you guys do?
I remembered this being way more difficult than it ended up being, and especially like the game sort of leading you up to this, it's like, this is, I think someone even says it like, hey, this is bigger than any other base that you've been in so far. So the shit is about to hit the fan. And getting there's only like 3 to 4 guards per section, which isn't all that different from what we've seen before in like the woodland and jungle environments. So yeah, it wasn't too difficult. I found I could mostly like put on some good camo, go prone, and then crawl, and the guards would be far away enough that they wouldn't spot me. So sometimes I would take guards out, sometimes I wouldn't. So it all depended. But yeah, it wasn't as difficult as I remembered when I first played this game.
Yeah, this is the section where you gotta get the Raiden lookalike, or which we gotta talk about that. Like who? I'm sorry. Yeah, that we're gonna need to spend time on. But I had a little bit of trouble figuring out which one was him. I was forgetting the hair. I was being dumb. And also like how to get his clothes. That too. So that took a little bit to figure out. But the actual like base, I felt like was the first time like this game like felt a little bit more like a classic Metal Gear. You know, as opposed, I mean, just with 1 and 2 in mind, in terms of you know, just especially MGS2 having a bigger just place where you're gonna do a bunch of different things in this area. You know, like I definitely enjoyed this section, but yeah. Also, this was where I got caught at one time, and Jack, I think, was saying last week that the timers for like the alarm and for caution are like so long. It's like, god damn, yo, like sheesh. It's probably like a solid like 3 minutes, and that doesn't sound like a lot, but in game when you're waiting, doing nothing for 3 minutes straight, like it definitely feels like a lot, for sure.
Yeah, the caution one, which is like right after the alert stage, is I think 90 seconds, and then plus the alert stage. Yeah, it's very, very long. I feel like that was this game's way of being like, all right, we're third person now, like we're straight up third person action, and you have more independence and agency to take guards out, so if you get caught, you're fucked. Like I think that was that game, like sort of introducing something that's easy for players to sort of compensate for the lack of difficulty in that regard, which is fucking annoying in my opinion.
Yeah.
So, Kevin, I'm glad you're bringing up the process of figuring out how to get the dude's clothes, because I got into the lab, right, and I threw the scientist coat back on just because I wanted to see if it worked, and it did. But almost immediately to my left, I was like looking around, I popped into the library, and I was like, okay, there's a scientist in there. I left, and then I saw, is his name Rykov? Is that what it is?
Raidenovich, right? Or
it's like Raiden, yeah, like some Raiden's definitely the beginning of the last name. I forgot the rest of it.
I thought it was Rykov.
Yeah, I thought it was Rykov.
Is it?
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So I see Rykov, and he's coming into the library, right? So I was like, oh, dope. And then he walked into the library, went to a corner. I used the cigarette smoke on one of the scientists, then I used it on him. I picked him up. Nothing happened. And I was like, what? And I looked it up, and I had to apparently bring him into a locker on the second floor. So after that, I went around the entire building and cigarette smoked everybody, and then dragged the dude upstairs into the corner, into the locker.
Savage.
You need a gas mask by the end of this.
Yeah, honestly,
just full of that.
It was funny too, because you know, there's that room with all the scientists in it.
Mm-hmm.
I was in there under one of the tables as Snake in the scientist outfit, just like blowing smoke at their feet.
Savage.
And
my toes feel a little tingly.
Yeah, but I thought it was very funny because like, if you were under there and you did it, like, it wouldn't reach sometimes, and Snake would just start coughing because like it's like trapping in there, and it's like affecting him because he's like choking on it. But
damn,
yeah,
I first thought that I could get to the area that we were going to using the Raiden mask and the scientist coat. That did not work, gentlemen. That was a no-go at all. Which I figured that would probably work, right? I mean, I look like Raiden. Maybe I wanted to wear a science suit today. I don't know. You know, maybe it was dressed up like a scientist day at work. You know, but it was definitely not. But we got it there, definitely.
This was the first time we go into this base, right?
Yes.
But eventually we go into this like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I did fact check it. If you want to hear the name,
Let's hear it.
Yes.
all right. Who was right? Does anyone want to bet?
I bet
All
we
right.
were right, Omar.
You think so?
I'll be cocky.
All
Yeah,
right.
I bet.
I think Christian
All
was
right. All right.
Honestly, probably Christian, but I'm gonna bet on myself, Omar.
All right. Well, listen to this. Ivan Raidenovich Rykov.
Let's go.
Wait, is
No, we're both
Raidenovich's
right.
middle name?
Wait, you're
Yeah,
both
Raidenovich's middle name. Yeah.
Oh, Raidenovich.
Yeah.
Actually,
Okay.
so I'm not 100% on this, but I remember hearing somebody talk about this before. We get into the whole like Eva having a thing with Volgan later. I'm pretty sure Volgan also has a thing with Ivan, and that's why
He touches his balls.
Yes, and he's like, "You're not him."
That was a throwback to Metal Gear Solid 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Some really bad stuff in terms of sexuality in this game. Just let's make the bad guy gay.
Yeah,
because there's a lot of stuff in terms of representation that's just completely awful in this game, as we already know. But that's one of those.
I honestly didn't take that as him being gay. I thought he was just really familiar with like his people's balls. But that makes sense. Yeah, I think you guys are right.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure I've heard other people talk in the past about Vulcan being gay, and I was like, I didn't know, or maybe like bi or something, because I think he also has his thing with Eva, but
yeah,
because it's like there's the scene, I forget if it's in the cave or if it's in the cabin, but when Snake is talking about Eva's scars and she's talking about Vulcan doing it to her, after the fact, I was like, oh, I wonder if on Ivan's body, after you take the thing off, if there's also scars there.
Oh, there's scars? Right. I don't think so.
I didn't check because I didn't think about that beforehand, but
yeah.
I don't know if anybody saw anything.
When you go back through that area the second time, I tried to find Ivan's body, but I don't think I found it.
I
tried to see if he was in the locker. Oh, is it locked?
You can access it, yeah.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
Did anybody call Major after suiting up with the general outfit and the mask?
No, I did not.
No? Did he say anything?
Oh, he said something.
What did he say?
Remember last week we talked about if this game's a secret FU from Kojima to all the people that hate it too?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I think this might be... So, Major said, the disguise is working. I'm already annoyed with you. And then Snake says, why? This should make me more popular. So...
I think I really do believe this isn't a fuck you for Metal Gear Solid 2. I feel like it's him going, no guys, I went too far, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
And he's agreeing with us, or with the community at the time.
I mean,
that's kind of how I'm feeling.
I bet you're right. I think it's fun to look at it the other way, but you're probably right.
Yeah. So there's a lot of like mea culpas of being like, hey, I know this is a fucking reference to this, like James Bond or Austin Powers, or apparently with this. And I think he just puts it out there to just say, I know that's what's happening, just go with it. Mm-hmm. It doesn't work in the end for me personally, but I think that was probably the rationale.
Is there a tangible connection with this Raiden and Raiden?
I doubt it.
Is really? That's it, guys. Like,
no, I bet you there has to be, because with the way Kojima explains everything for no reason, there must be a reason for it. Like, I mean, later on, I'm sure
we have a precedent of, now we know Big Boss looking like Solid Snake because of that whole thing. Could Raiden be like another country's version? I don't.
Oh boy.
There's
you think Raiden's a Leon Fontarib of Russia?
No,
something, right?
I think Christian stepped on a landmine.
I just found something. So this isn't an answer, but Raidenovich in Russian translates to son of Raiden.
But then that doesn't even make sense.
No, so at that point, I think it's a joke then. Because there's no way that there's no time travel. This is not.
You have to consider that this man made a whole game to explain why this guy is called Big Boss.
Mm-hmm.
There has to be a reason for this, or like later on, he will explain it.
I don't know if this is like investigation worthy stuff, but I'll keep it in mind. I'll keep it in the tuck, if you will, if we ever get a true answer. All
right, fair enough. So, after this, I believe this is on our way out. We get captured, right?
Yeah, after being groped.
Whoa.
Right. So,
I love Omar's alarms. I love it.
3 o'clock, gotta wake up.
It is 3 p.m.
Look, 3 o'clock was the original scheduled time for these.
Let's go.
Oh, sorry. No, first we find Sokolov. we find Sokolov. Eve is talking to him, getting the film reel from him here. Jack is correct. We get groped, and I thought Sokolov. There was a funny moment with him. He just like looked up in the sky. He's like, "To be honest with you, I'm tired." I was like, "Dude, I get it." But,
yeah, I thought the Sokolov moment was great. Actually, though,
Yeah.
like he was ready to go. We're just again that conversation about us scientists. We keep getting used, and it sucks.
yeah.
Yeah, I found that really interesting because I mean he's definitely not wrong. Like, and you can even look at it from like a Snake perspective, like being a CIA operative. Like, I don't know, like there's definitely like something that I've personally never thought about. Like, right, like it's not like our physical like U.S. government took us to the moon. It's the thousands of scientists, the thousands of engineers or whatever that are working, you know, towards the will of the government, which I thought was pretty interesting in itself. Honestly, I thought it was a pretty cool concept. Yeah.
Was this where like they go into like how all their research stuff gets manipulated for like politics and stuff?
Yeah.
Rather than like, I thought that was fun. Or like, I was like, yeah, Sokolov, I feel free. I think he's a good character, honestly.
Good guy.
I think I like Sokolov a lot.
Me too.
He was essentially saying, like, along the lines of what you were saying, Omar, of he wanted to be like a rocket scientist, and they basically turned him into like a missile creator, and like he wanted to be used to help further like the like all the space exploration, but was used, his like technology was used for like weapons of mass destruction. So yeah, I think that was really interesting part for Sokolov. I noticed on one of like the whiteboards or maybe blackboards, there was the number 144.75, which we see later. And I wrote that down because I was like, that might come in handy.
Same. I also wrote it down. I was like, you know what? Just in case. You never know. Yeah.
Wait. Was this in the torture sequence or
this was before? Because the torture sequence, that number comes up again.
Right.
All right. That's when I first saw it.
Before.
I see.
It wasn't like, it was like behind him.
It was very much in the background.
Weird. Yeah.
And you didn't have the
R1?
R1? Weird. Or
no.
was it?
No.
Oh, okay.
They just looked very suspicious, and I was like, "That's probably something."
You think the boss wrote that there or something? If that's like physically written? Because when I saw it, it was the Sorrow, right?
Yeah, I saw the Sorrow also.
Yeah.
Yeah. The boss must have written that.
Cool.
Yeah, that's nice. Or maybe Eva, because she was just in that room, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
true. But
She knows.
Oh.
She's working with the boss.
yeah.
Well, yeah, very good scene. Snake gets caught, beat up. Then we get dragged into the torture sequence where it is revealed that this is not Naked Snake, this is Liquid Snake, because we got another peer on our hands.
I was
Jesus
like, wait,
Christ,
what?
Christian.
I'm like, wait, did I miss something huge? I was like, excuse me? Huh? Oh man. I really liked how they kept the screen black because he had a bag over his head for like a considerably long time. I felt like I felt like that's like one of like the little things that I think worked a lot in its favor of like really kind of putting you in the perspective of Snake in that point. You know, I liked it.
Yeah, I felt like it was like close to a minute because we and we hear Sokolov die off screen, right? Like,
Yeah.
hits. So, Jack, what do you think of this entire sequence? Because there's a lot that's dropped here, but at the same time, it feels like there's not too much progression outside of this is how Big Boss gets eye patch, right? Like,
That's kind of what it feels like in the end.
yeah.
They're like, every Metal Gear Solid game so far has a torture sequence.
Mhm.
And here we are in the third one having the torture sequence. So yeah, honestly, we get some. The thing for me to take away from this is Snake sacrifices his eye. Boss has some hesitancy in trying to take his eye and ends up not doing it because of sheer luck. And then you could tell, like, the boss is telling you to run. You see what turns out to be the Sorrow in the background holding up a sign with a codec number behind the boss. So yeah, you get the sense that the boss is not all in on her mission or her goal of sort of defending herself and killing Snake. So that's pretty much the takeaway, honestly.
Yeah. Another thing I'll add on, Omar, I'm curious to see how you feel about this, knowing your track record with this game. This is how Ocelot became a fan of torturing people.
Yeah.
At the end, he's like, "This awoken. This is. I know how this is gonna work now," and that's why he tortures you in Metal Gear Solid 1.
Honestly, I didn't even notice that. That sucks so bad.
I'm sorry I brought that to your attention.
No, it's all right. It's all right. I still am of the opinion that, like, look, Metal Gear Solid 2 referenced all this and how it was crazy that they did it again, and then 3 is just doing it again, but with no cool, like, fourth wall reference or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I feel like this game falls into the trap that a lot of prequels do, where it's like, hey, this would be cool if we did this, and then they end up doing that, like with the president scene and the dude being like, we could use some guy for our sneaking missions. And
Oh my god.
There's a lot of I don't want to say Marvel, because I think Marvel does, the MCU does it in good ways, but the very cheesy nods to things that in this universe we would get to and we know it's coming, and it's just like cheap, bad fan servicey that is just one line.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very heavy-handed. It's just like, ugh, I didn't need that. Like, I know where we're going. You don't need to hold my hand and take me there. It's there's just a lot in this game that's like that, unfortunately.
Yeah. And
Could one of you Star Wars boys tell me how Han Solo got his name again? How did that happen?
Exactly. That's a great point.
I can. Would you like me to?
I can't remember how it went. What was it like? I remember it being dumb.
He was.
Yeah.
He was trying to go into Imperial, the flight academy, I think.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the dude's like, "What's your name?" And then he's like, "Han." And he's like, "No last name." He's like, "No." He's like, "Well, you're alone, so Han Solo."
Yeah.
And audiences cried. It was an awful movie.
No, it's not awful. Stop
It's
it, Jack.
awful.
No, Solo's good.
Jack, stop
But
it. Solo's good.
Last week, I think a big talking point was just how, from my angle at least, like, the game feels really inconsistent for all the tones it's juggling, and it doesn't nail that like the others do. But I think
cave scene.
Yeah, I think what Jack is saying about, like, just being so, like, I feel like I'm being winked at every, like, 5 minutes, and it's tiring. You know, it's just
Right.
like what you're saying, Jack, of like last week in the office there was the guy that looked like Otacon, and then now here there's the thing. It's like, you know, this is Ocelot. This is how he gets the thing. This is how he does the thing. Big Boss has an eye patch. Here you go. Like, it's.
Could it feel heavy-handed because we just played them? I wonder that, like, could it be like feeling heavy-handed because, like, we literally just played 1 and 2 and, like, those are pretty fresh? Or
I mean,
is it heavy in its, like, I think it's heavy in itself. Like, I'm not saying like that's a right statement, but I'm just wondering if, like, that could also be a portion of it, maybe, you know?
I think even if you didn't know what was happening, like, the degree at which stuff is being shown to you in that wink and nod way almost makes it feel kind of awkward.
yeah.
I guess. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, Kevin. I think at the same time, though, like, the ratio isn't there. I think it's there's so much of it that for, like, evaluating it on what it doesn't wink at you with, it's like it's not really anything that impressive. It feels like it's resting on a lot of the references, for me at least. But
Right.
thankfully, I think the end has a little more substance to it, but the majority up to this point, then absolutely. But Jack, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, I think there is objectively a lot to not like about the Star Wars prequels, but save for like 1 or 2 references throughout that whole trilogy, I think it does a good job of standing on its own and not being like there's the one part where Count Dooku brings out, like, the hologram of the Death Star, but that's really the only one that comes to mind. Like, that series or that trilogy of movies stands apart from the original trilogy, and it's not like, I would love it if we eventually built an empire. Like, it feels sort of natural, whereas this one game it really does feel like Solo to me. Like there are just so many. This is not the first time we've referenced Solo too. There are just so many. There's so many references that I did not need, and I think if they took a lot of those out, that it'd make this game feel a little bit more standalone, which I think was probably the intention, because it's just wholly separated from the previous two games by decades. And yeah, I think a lot of the heavy-handed references go a long way in making me not like this game as much as the other two.
Yeah, Jack, I think you nailed it. It's like if the first Star Wars movie, Phantom Menace had Anakin be like, no, I don't want to do this. I'd rather lose all my arms and legs. It's like, and then they pause for like 10 seconds, and then they just keep going on. It's like, whatever. And this is where we get the insight as well about the Philosopher's legacy, that it's just money. Eva and the boss, we get a slight little glance between the two of them, maybe signaling something. But Kevin, I want to ask you, we see the boss assist Snake here. She says run, she gives him a gun. How did you take that? Like, what were you thinking seeing that happen?
Yeah, that was I think the first turn of like, wait, so is she working with us? Like, is this a whole type of not like, I guess kind of like a bait and switch, I guess, you know?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I thought initially, you know? Because it happens again, I think pretty prominently towards later on in the game as well. That's definitely more direct, but this was the first like inclination of it. Okay, like there's something up, you know, for sure, for sure. But I know exactly what. I don't know.
All right, good to know. So right after this, we basically deal with our escape. It sounds like we all just use the codec to call it and escape that way. Did anybody not do that?
I mean, I really did try to do the fork thing. I don't know how to do that, but I assumed I could, like Metal Gear Solid 1, like get under the bed and stab myself with the fork or something. That was my guess. And then I even tried when the guard came up to the gate, I tried to kill him with the fork. I like stabbed him with it. Didn't work. He didn't even like go in an alert state. It was like just question mark. But
there's a really funny way of breaking out that does not involve the codec.
Oh no, please go ahead.
So, well, the first like my main playthrough, I did use the codec, and then I was watching some videos and video essays about this game, and someone mentioned it, and I did this in my platinum run. Someone mentioned going into the viewer of like your character in, I think maybe the food screen, and spinning the camera very quickly and very fast, exiting out of that, and Snake fucking hurls on the ground, and the guard's like, oh no, did you get sick? Let me come help you. And then he comes and he just beat the shit out of him. It's so funny.
That's great. Yeah. That's very good.
Yeah.
I threw a Russian ration outside through the viewport hole on the door, right? Mm-hmm. So then the guard eats it, and I was like, oh, I don't know, it tastes kind of funny, but all right, you know, I was hungry, why not? Oh, because I think he mentions that like he's feeling like a little bit hungry. So I threw him one. I threw him one, and then like if maybe like 15 seconds go by, it's like, oh man, something's growling in my stomach. And then he keeps getting more sick, and he runs to the bathroom, and he's doing his business in there. That's when I put in the codec and got out.
Nice.
Yeah. So
yeah,
that's how that worked.
You know what the fork is for? Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I have no idea.
Okay, I don't know what the fork is for.
I didn't have any use for the fork, to be honest.
Yeah.
It came in handy afterward, like in the sewers, because you can stumble upon like rats and like toads and stuff, and just you use the fork to kill them and instantly eat them, so you don't have to like collect them. That's what I was using it for, but not in here. I didn't really have much use for it.
Does food get rotten after 24 hours? Because I was like taking day breaks between some of these sessions, and it seemed like food was always expired. I was kind of freaked out by that.
I'm not sure.
Not all the food, but like the ones I was eating, like the meats, the stuff I was killing. I don't know.
I would be surprised.
Items.
Yeah.
Then we make our escape here, the sewer system. Kind of just reminded me of naked riding. You know, this portion, long hallway.
Right.
Sure.
Kind of helpless, but again, no real substance to the comparison. Just it's there.
Those sewers were gorgeous, I thought.
Yeah.
Some really good god rays coming in, and I don't know.
The
Just
dogs
looked nice.
chasing you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the dogs are kind of scary. Trust. I'm like, listen, I'm not gonna train a dog. That's not happening.
Mhm.
That's not happening. Like, there's one dog like hidden, not hidden, but like he was always sleeping near
By the
the
sewer one,
entrance
yeah.
for the sewer.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, like is he dead? Like, nah, he's just sleeping. It's
He's got
alright.
disease.
Like he can chill. Yeah. He
Um,
can chill.
I'm-
Dogs count as kills too, so can't
They
kill
do?
a dog. Yeah.
No way I'm killing the dog. There's no shot.
No.
I'm gonna out myself as a weirdo, but did anyone expect you to be able to eat the dog? Like, I thought
No.
maybe they would. Okay, yeah, you can't. All right,
it's not called dog eater.
you're right. You're right.
So you confirmed you cannot eat the dog.
No,
You
you
ate a
cannot eat the dog.
Okay.
No, make the Twitter account.
You got it.
But I'm with you, Omar. I think this is a good environment. Like, I think kind of like what Jack was talking about with the cliffside as well. Like, I think the second half of the game does have the best environments and some of the best visuals. I think just because we get away from just all the like gray, green, and brown a lot. Like, this is like there's still brown everywhere because like it's a PS2 version of the USSR, but like, lots of oranges. You know, the next forest area very, very green, like in a way that all the jungles before haven't been. Like, I think we get a lot more variety, and I appreciate that. Plus, you know, there is the mountain that sort of makes that big division between locations, I think. But
I don't know if we mentioned it, but like, you know, that scene after you meet up with Eva and she gives you the ramen, and then you just get that landscape of Groznygrad and the mountains. It looks awesome. Like,
I think also, like, similar to how MGS2 still looks really good, I'm kind of surprised at some of the character models, I think. And I think some of them were showing here more than any other week so far. They just, I think they aged pretty well for the most part, personally. But,
Yeah.
on the way out of the sewers, though, Kevin, I like how you mentioned the dogs are scary, because I was running towards that light, and then I literally had like a "why do I hear boss music" moment, and then like right before the cutscene triggered, I saw a dog like on my ass. I was like, "Oh god!" I didn't know you were there, but
Yeah, I love that like just set piece, or just like, you know, just events of Snake running for his life,
Mhm.
no equipment, shirtless, to like a light in the tunnel. Like I just think that like that was such a cool like aesthetic.
Mhm.
I liked it.
one of my first exposures to Metal Gear Solid was watching a animated like AMV. Is that an anime music video? Animated music video? I don't know if you guys know, but yeah, someone made a big cut of Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater to Coldplay's "Viva La Vida,"
Good
and there's a really good cut when Snake jumps off that sewer, and it's Chris Martin going, "I used to rule the world." It's dope.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I can definitely see that being like a 2007
Yeah.
YouTube
Totally.
video with like
Hell yeah.
with the pre-generated graphics.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I want to cut
Windows
one
Movie
to,
Maker.
Yeah.
I want to cut one to "Anthem of Our Dying Day." You know, yo.
This is a very small thing here, but I don't know why Snake just did a full-blown swan dive the whole time. Like, he didn't bother to straighten himself out by the end. His shoulders are gone. When he landed head first, shoulders flat out. Like, dude.
That's death.
Yeah.
I think every visual medium at this point has just agreed upon the fact that falling into water is the equivalent of falling on a bed of pillows.
Yeah,
really
which is
think-
definitely not.
I
Which-
think everyone has just agreed at that point. We know this is
Oh.
non-realistic. We
Got a
might have kids
pencil.
jumping off bridges now into water, not knowing. But to tell our story, we gotta have people jumping in waters being okay.
I kind of low-key had a different interpretation. Like, I thought the sorrow thing was a complete, like, I was dead, right? And I was dead the whole time, but then once I did that stupid thing, which we'll talk about, how to get revived, like, we were back in reality, you know? So, like, in essence, like he did indeed die from that fall.
Yeah, well,
maybe not.
Why don't we talk about the Sorrow fight then?
Well, can I interject real quick?
Yeah.
With there is a scene later on where someone does fall from the sky into water, and I think that might be the best depiction of how that would actually look like.
Where like a fucking rock.
Yeah, like he gets fucked up.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry. The Sorrow.
Last thing before the Sorrow. I'm sorry. I gotta just
No.
It was at this point where I'm like, how does the rest of the like ground troops, I guess, don't look at Ocelot like a complete idiot? Like, this is like, at this point, I think the third or fourth time, maybe more than that him and Snake have faced off, and Ocelot's like, okay, finally, like this is my moment. I've been waiting for this, and then he fucks it up again, you know? And it's like, damn, this dude is not that capable, not yet, at least, you know?
Yeah. You know,
carry on.
I do appreciate though that every time Ocelot shows up, he like makes it a thing of like, hey, nobody else mess with me. Like, this is me and him, which
I got this, guys.
which I think is very interesting when we learn things about later on. But yeah, the Sorrow. I think this is a very cool set piece. I love how this looks. I love the just the themes going on. I love the drastic shift from everything else. Like, I really like the setting of this, and like just the energy of it, I guess. Like, you kind of just trudge through water again. I hated it before. I had a better time now because I'm at least entertained by everything else. But Jack, what do you think of the Sorrow sequence?
I really like how this is the point in the game where the game itself is either punishing you for the way you played the game or sort of rewarding you for the way you played the game. Because if you killed a bunch of people, all of the ghosts of those people that you killed will try to harm you in this section. And if you killed no one, I think it's just the bosses, which count as kills, that will try and harm you. And a whole bunch of fish. I don't remember killing all that fish, but a whole bunch of fish are in there as well. But it's only the bosses that try to harm me, because I ended up not killing anyone, and I just had the bosses running through the water. But yeah, when I first played this game like 7 to 8 years ago at this point, I remember very much regretting, oh man, probably shouldn't have been mowing down people in the jungle before this. But yeah, I think it's a really interesting little tactic. As for figuring out what to do at the end, I probably had to look that up 8 years ago, but I knew what to expect this time around. But yeah.
Omar, you see a lot of dogs here.
Fuck you! I'm not that evil. only a couple times. I actually don't know if I think I did see a dog. You might be right, but all right. I didn't much care for this set piece like I used to. I think I used to think it was pretty cool, but I feel like at this point it feels almost like it's going for that kind of, Psycho Mantis vibe.
Yes.
Of the first game, but it just doesn't hit it for me. It just seems like he's desperately trying for something here, and it is just like I'm not all that wowed by it, I guess. But
yeah, I think my biggest takeaway with it, like the way it's designed, like on a art level, and just the character of the Sorrow, I was really into. But I in my notes I was like, love this. I don't know if I can defend the mechanics, because as I was playing it, exactly what you're saying, I was thinking about Psycho Mantis and how much I love that, and how much that is like, if you look hard enough, it'll convey that to you through something like the codec. Here, unless you're like, oh right, I have this fake death thing, or this recovery thing that they mentioned day one, I had never used it, and you can't even use it until you die. Like, I think you're right. It's reaching for that, but I think there's a pretty big difference between the game giving you a hint and doing something in your real life that is pretty simple of just like boop boop with the controller versus like, hey, this one item you probably forgot about, and even though it's one of the only items in your inventory, like, use it, but you gotta die first, and you do it when you're on the death screen. Like, you're absolutely right. I don't think this can hang with Psycho Mantis. And I know, Kevin, you weren't a fan of Psycho Mantis, like, at all. So what did you think of this?
I get that in premise, this is interesting, right? And I actually do like the notion of like, hey, if you're a killer, this is your payback. Like this is what you get, right?
Nathan Drake's hell.
You literally, like, facts.
Nathan Drake would have been swarmed by these things.
He wouldn't have got out.
Swarmed. There's no way. There's no shot. But I was using the easy gun all the way through, so I only had the bosses. Unfortunately, guys, I did have the parrot. I don't know when this happened. I don't know how this parrot, fell by my hand, but apparently I killed a parrot at some point.
You eat this
very, very disturbing. Very, very disturbing. Yeah, it was flying in the water. He was saying grandpa. I was like, yo, my bad.
I got him too. He was, I think, just with the end.
Yeah, does the parrot get exploded when the end goes?
No, I don't think so. I think he...
Okay.
He says flying away.
Right. that's what I thought, but oh well.
Kevin, it kills that theory you had of that being the parrot from 2.
Yeah. Fuck. Damn. Tragic. But, so yeah.
We were looking at parrot lifespans last episode.
Yeah, it was 80 years. It would
life ended too soon.
R.I.P. big homie. But yeah, I think it's incredibly stupid that, like, because I was unaware that you can even access your L2 and R2 menus when you have the, oh my god, Snake is dead, like, I was not aware that you could pull up that menu at all. And I don't know, yeah, like, I'm with you guys in the fact that, like, that is not properly conveyed. Like, I guess with the, Metal Gear Solid thing with the controller and all that during that fight specifically, I guess it tells you kind of,
like, you do get a call at some point, I think, on the codec if you're just like, you can't get a single shot on Psycho Mantis. They're like, hey, he's reading your thoughts, and I think if you follow up, they're like, take the controller out.
right, okay, yeah. But like here, I don't know if you could call anybody and they would tell you or something, but
I mean, I don't think you have a radio at this point.
Oh yeah,
I don't think you could call anyone.
No, you could call. You could definitely call, and they will say to you, they will act like you're dead. Yeah. Like right. You call Major, and I think he literally goes Snake, and Eva's like, where are you? I haven't heard from you, and then you can't ever talk to them or something.
Oh,
Kevin's shit! Might be
so that is definitely the afterlife, like 100%. Snake is like really, really dead.
Yeah, I think so.
That's cool. Okay, that's pretty cool.
But
yeah, still did not. I called Omar.
And, I was watching Austin Powers.
Yeah.
I was for research.
By the way, Austin Powers, the best trilogy in films.
Honestly,
aside from Lord of the Rings, best trilogy in films.
Actually, no aside needed.
Top 2.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering then, Kevin, also because I have never tried this, but because I didn't die too much. But can you even get to your L2 R2 menus on normal death screens, or is this the only time you can do that?
I think you can. I believe that's how that revival thing works. Okay. But I forgot because I never used it. But
what if you use it before this point? What happens then?
I don't know if you can.
You have multiple, I think.
No, you have multiple fake deaths, but I think you only have the one revival.
Well, I think the revival is probably infinite. Because you can't. I tried to remove that from my inventory, and they lock that in the support inventory. But I never was in a case where I was like, "Oh, I'm caught. I guess I'll pretend I'm dead," because that mechanic's not very useful.
Jack.
But yeah,
I bet that is their answer to these egregious length warning things. It's fake your death, wait for them to walk away immediately after, then it's a reset. I bet that's what it is. I never even tried it because I thought I had to save the fake death bills for this because I forgot the like specifics here, but yeah.
Did you try using the fake death bill immediately when you got here?
Yep.
Okay, because I did too, and I was pretty bummed that it didn't work.
Yeah.
I thought that'd be a good speedrun tactic, but no, I guess you can't speedrun this fight.
No, yeah. And I tried too. I was like, the first time I saw, I think the fear popped up in my thing. I just stood there. He was the first boss that I think I saw, maybe, but he took out like a third of my health and then he just went away and the Sorrow disappeared. I was like, I gotta keep walking, okay. But
yeah, I mean, all the Cobras have this problem, or the lack of characterization, I guess, like compared to the last Metal Gears. But like this one specifically, when they're trying to do a Psycho Mantis thing, I think it really falls flat for me because like he's just not as cool as Psycho Mantis, and he's not even trying to be. But I can't remember the quotes, but he never made me feel bad for what I did, I guess. Not like Psycho Mantis, where he was like, I see you were a killer. This guy's like, ooh, I don't know.
Yeah, the only thing that I like about the Sorrow's character is his attachment to the boss. But I think if you remove the boss from the Sorrow's character, the Sorrow is just another one of the Cobras that is just not interesting. And I agree with Christian. I think this set piece is really interesting and cool, and I like the premise of them punishing or giving you a pass. But I think if you take those away, the character itself is just not very interesting.
Yeah, I'll give them this though for sure because like I think within the fight of the Fury, they give the Fury the best treatment out of the Cobras, but I think here after the fact, I'm definitely most interested to like the role the Sorrow has, right? Because I believe it's after Snake hits land again and he's talking to Major and he's like asking about the Sorrow, and we get some insight into the idea that he fought with the boss during the war and then she was sent to assassinate him. And I don't know if I'm taking this from maybe like expanded stuff or like post like interviews that Kojima gave, but like I'm almost pretty sure that like he was sort of a mentor to her at a period of time.
I believe they were friends on the battlefield, and I think they were probably lovers at some point too. Because I remember someone saying like her codename was the Joy. Boss's codename was the Joy, and the Sorrow was the Sorrow. So it was sort of like the yin and yang situation. And I think they were partners when Boss was leading the Cobras through World War II and afterwards, and then I believe the boss had to go and assassinate the Sorrow.
Yeah, because she was sent by the CIA to carry out the assassination, at least that's what's on record, which I thought was very interesting considering what Snake's relationship to the boss is and what his objective is, right? It's mirrored, essentially. And the way that they keep kicking around the idea that Snake and the boss were mentors, maybe lovers. I think it's a really interesting parallel considering where we're going and just looking at the boss sort of had been in the role that Snake is in. Which, again, I feel like there would have been a lot of potential to like really hammer in on and make that the point of where we're going, because we do kind of get to that point eventually, but they kind of just drop it there, I think.
Yeah.
On this call, when they tell you about the Sorrow, what'd you think of them like explaining his whole deal with like science, or like he's a product of experiments in this lab. We were doing training on spiritual mediums, and I don't know, like
because what did they say that like he did have ESP and then it was like magnified by experimentation or something like that.
I'm not. Yeah, I think so. I honestly didn't quite follow all of it, but it seemed like after they said like, I almost thought they were just gonna have a straight up a ghost guy, but they did kind of explain it.
I kind of glazed over at that part, to be completely honest.
Yeah,
because like giving you backstory about a boss that you just defeated is like, all right, I just went past him. I don't really need this now.
Yeah.
After that, the next thing is the path to the cave. I don't know if anybody has anything that stood out to them. It's kind of whatever, it's a short path. They give you another R1 thing after Snake lands on the beach, and he just looks at nothing. I don't know what that was about, but yeah, there's really not much. I thought there was a point where after his eye gets shot out, if you go R1, it's like there's weird depth or something. Like it's because if you lose an eye, you don't have the same depth perception. So I thought there was.
You can't see Avatar in 3D.
Yeah, I thought there was something with that.
Yeah, it's the greatest of your concern.
You can't see Avatar in 3D.
I think it's worth pointing out here because this is sort of like a lull in the game. I found out when doing all the trophies for this, there are hidden R1s that aren't telegraphed. And we'll get to them later. There's some really cool ones that I was trying to tell Kevin about, and he saw them on his stream.
So much.
There's some really cool ones that we'll talk about later. But
oh yeah,
you mentioned the R1, Christian, so I thought I'd throw that in there. There's some cool ones. They're all after the mountain pass. All the hidden R1s in this game are after the mountain pass, at least for the trophies, which is interesting. They're not spread out through the game, so we'll get to this.
Well, I believe, unless I'm missing one, I believe the next R1 takes place in the cave when Eva is back in her bikini. But this time, Snake's just focused on that snake he's chomping on, and he just sees her legs. I was surprised. I was like, oh, well, okay. You're showing more in the normal thing, not in the first person view, but...
Some people will get off on those legs, Christian.
Fair enough. Jack, you brought up this cave many times. Set the scene.
All right. I believe it's been a while since I played through this section, but I believe someone's injured. Probably Snake. It's definitely Snake. Eva's like, "Hey, let me help you out with what's going on here. There's a fire in the cave that's warming them. It's also illuminating some shadows on the back cave wall." And Eva's picking away at something. They're in some interesting positions. And lo and behold, if you hit R1, or actually I don't even know if you have to hit R1, we get some interesting dialogue and some illuminations on the cave wall that makes it seem like they're doing something else than digging around for bullet holes and sticks in people's legs. And it's very much an on-the-nose reference to how that happens in Austin Powers, except it's actually funny in Austin Powers, not a weird parody of itself.
Is that scene, does it actually originate from Austin Powers, or does it originate from a spy thing that Austin Powers parodies it? Because I wonder. That's
probably right. You're probably right. But obviously, educated and refined people would know that this is from Austin.
No, of course. Yeah. I definitely thought about Austin Powers when I saw this, so much so that I rewatched the first movie. But I think, is it in the second one or something, maybe?
I believe Spy Who Shagged Me with Heather Graham.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I only saw... I can't remember the name of the first one, honestly, but yeah...
International Man of Mystery.
Right.
Followed up, of course, by the Beyonce film Goldfinger? Goldmember, I believe.
I think I told Christian on a stream, like, hey, this is actually an Austin Powers game, not James Bond.
Yeah.
When this happened. But yeah, I think a lot of these games' problems with the Eva sexualization would have been fixed if Snake would just say, "Do I make you horny, baby?" every time that happens. Like,
do I make you Randy?
Yeah, something like that. Like, I don't know. Plus, there were like weird wrestling or boxing noises played when the shadows were doing it. It was a bizarre scene. I don't think it was funny at all.
No.
Like, I don't think it definitely. Maybe it was supposed to be sexy. I don't know. I wasn't aroused.
It's at this point where I realize, with all the James Bond stuff, and with the Austin Powers stuff, and the references, the like actual like in-text references to Metal Gear itself, I feel like this game, at the end of the day, is mostly just an unsatisfying parody of a lot of things that doesn't culminate into anything wholly unique and new, and it is just references to other things without telling a compelling story in its own right. Mm-hmm. Because I think you can do a smart, like, hey, we're doing a James Bond game that's a Metal Gear. But it's also a Metal Gear game, and we're going to tell a unique, interesting story that differentiates itself from the other Metal Gear games in a satisfying way. But I just don't think this game nailed that. I think it's largely referential. It doesn't tell a compelling story really at all. I think I care about one character at the end of this game. But yeah, you're just getting hit hard with all these references. Yeah, I just don't think it's good in that regard.
I wanted to highlight it when Kevin brought it up earlier, but I'll bring it up again here. Like, do you guys think this game would have been better if it started at the mountain? Like, you can do the virtuous mission, but then like cut out all the stuff in the jungle, the half of Gru, like start on the mountainside. Like, that's where Snake meets Eva, and she gives him an exposition dump, and then you just go off from there. Because I can't think of much character development you get from Snake in the first chunk of the game that we'd be axing, other than, like, I guess as a player, you're getting used to the mechanics of this game, the way Snake is getting used to being on his own, but, like, you get that pretty fast, you know? Like, Omar, do you think you'd maybe think the game could have a benefit to cutting out all that stuff and then really honing in on from there where we started this week to the end?
I think I would have still been left pretty unsatisfied by it if they cut out half of it. Maybe slightly less so, but I feel like this game is just kind of simplistic in a lot of ways with the story and some of the things it's going for. Mm-hmm. That I think even if you cut out, like, yeah, I do agree this section is better than what we've played before, but I don't think it would have done it for me if it was any shorter.
Sure, yeah.
Done more for me.
Because I think, like, my biggest thing, the way that you guys are talking about kind of feeling underwhelmed, I just feel like they try to have payoffs for things they never built up to, really, and they're banking on future stuff. So, like, if you're not going to build up to a payoff in the first half of the game, just don't have it. I think I would have just been going along with everything else that they did so far. But Kevin, what do you think of this cave thing?
That is a loud plane.
Yeah, that's a very loud plane. I'm sorry, it is on my end.
That's a SR-71 Blackbird. Yo,
yeah, they sent in the bomber
straight
coming down.
Yo.
The internet heard me talking trash about Snake Eater.
No. What was the line specifically? Because I gotta say it. It was Snake offers Eva a little bit of the snake that he's eating, and then
all right.
She was like, no, like, but I bet you would taste good. Just out there, just straight up, like, not even. We're not even hinting at that point.
I think she said, "I'd rather eat you" or something like
that. Yeah, something like that. I'm like, okay, all right, okay, baby girl, shit. I mean, you know, after the credits, you know what I mean. Probably not after the credits, after we learn what happens, but yeah. But yeah, no, I mean, I didn't understand the Austin Powers references. I've never seen Austin Powers. Apologies.
You got him.
Yeah, according to Jack, I'm uneducated, which is totally true. But yeah,
you gotta see Austin Powers.
Yeah, like, I think there is merit to, hey, like, everything that we played before. I would honestly prefer if we start, like, at the ladder, you know.
But yeah, that's,
and like,
yeah.
have that ladder be the intro, and then everything else post that. Blow it up a little bit, expand upon it. You know, that is the game. Like, I think it would have been it's just this. The beginning half of this game is just really weird to me. Like, it does not land, at least for me. I don't know, but
if you have a very confined jungle section, and then you start, like, with the end as your first boss fight, and then, like what Kevin said, go up the ladder and then, like, expand the mountain area and the, like, Groznygrad a little bit, and maybe even shorten the game overall, I think it would have been a better package.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, keep the end as your first boss fight, right?
Yeah, because what a great introduction that would be, rather than the fucking B-Man.
B-Man.
You like jazz?
Wasn't there one before that? No, the B-Man was the first one.
No, he was first.
I think it's
Ocelot.
Yeah,
Ocelot. If we can put Ocelot in like the top of the mountain area, I'd be cool with that. I would be down with that. Yeah, I'd be down.
I have a very, I hope I don't derail too much, of a very odd observation and a question for you guys.
All right.
Please.
Did anyone use at any point in this game a chaff grenade? Because my inventory was stocked and I never thought to ever use this.
I used it once.
I feel like I did. I think.
What were they even useful for?
Were they good for those guys on the hovercrafts?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh.
I never used one either, but I assumed
point.
that's what they were there for. But I kind of didn't even realize I had them, to be honest. So.
Yeah. Because that's a very specific part of the game where you see them a couple times in the game.
Yeah.
And I'm chucking chaff grenades in 1 and 2. Let me tell you, I didn't even use that in this.
Yeah, and again, I think that's another instance of they're in the 60s. Why is this here? We know how to use these, and you use them one time. It just feels not lazy, but just why did you even bother? I don't know. It's rough.
What? Why are hovercrafts in here, do you think?
Dude, I have no fucking idea. I was wait, why?
Yeah,
for what?
Why?
Where did they come from?
Why are they so if hover tech exists, why is it such a big deal that they need an entire fucking runway for Shagohod to work, right? Just put the
3
rockets
miles.
Yeah, exactly. Have it hover. Have it go treat it like a plane. I don't know.
Yeah, really weird. I do. Is it explained here where they use the Shagohod to propel the missiles? That's the word. Farther, using the force of it going 300 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which, if you do the math, 300 miles, and it's a 3-mile runway, I feel like that'd be a pretty quick amount of time, right? I feel like that's not enough runway. Or am I just wrong?
It's a big boy.
We need a Fast and Furious runway. Fast 6.
Yeah.
Oh man, that seems so good.
Yeah.
We need that runway. Yeah.
I need to watch those movies.
You do.
Oh yeah, you gotta get educated.
I've never seen it.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I'll throw myself in the unrefined, uneducated camp.
Dude,
I've never.
that movie's coming out soon.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I gotta catch up. I think they're on somewhere.
Han's back. Yeah. Let's go.
Yeah.
So, this is maybe the longest cutscene in the game.
Wait. Can I say one thing? Okay, Kevin was talking about the Shagohod. I just wanted to say I think the Shagohod is a triumph, and I think it's so cool. I think it's one of the best things about this game is how cool that the idea, prequels suck in a lot of ways, but I feel if you're gonna do early tech that was in a later game and it's here, I think the Shagohod works. It's oh yeah, this is your unrefined idea that gets better later on, but the way it moves too, or maybe I am jumping ahead. Actually, I'm sorry for interrupting you, Christian. You go ahead.
No. I'm glad you brought it up. Because I think it really shines in the fight later. But that cutscene where he's we strap rockets on the thing to just make it go faster. It's that's super cool.
I can't tell you how mad I would be if there was a prequel in Metal Gear and here's something that's way cooler than Rex that shows up.
Yeah.
That would piss me off.
Yeah, that'd be something that would.
But this thing is fucking cool.
No, yeah, Shagohod I think works.
You could tell it's very much a prototype.
Yeah.
And I think they nail it. It's very hulking, and it's not very streamlined. Yeah. And very much a predecessor to Metal Gear. So yeah, I agree. I think it's cool design.
I like it.
Well, was there anything else that we want to touch on in the cutscene? Because we do get a lot of. It's a long cutscene.
Wait, what cutscene is this?
It's still the cave. It's everything with Eva and Snake getting the eye patch, and
I just remembered the nudie stuff. What was that?
She gives it C3, and it's for some reason not C4 that everyone knows.
Why?
Yeah, Omar, just like you said, it's a prequel.
Yeah, it's a prequel. It's so dumb, and I think even I think someone calls and like explains how C4 will be cooler later, or like how this technology will evolve.
Yeah,
But
the bomb of the future,
just,
or something like that.
Yeah, it's just stupid, just dumb.
So, no other takeaways from this sequence then, because right after that we gotta re-infiltrate the base. This, again, Kevin, you have a history not liking backtracking too much in these games. Well, you liked it in 2, but what do you think about it here? Going back to the lab, getting to the hangar, using the military outfit again.
This one's good because, like, it's like, hey, you're going to go to the shaft over here. And it's like, right, like, no, I remember that location. Like, it's not like you have to go backtrack and just blind as a bat figure out where the hell the sniper is. Like, what, like, you know, so, I like to hear a lot, yeah, because I feel like them not directly like telling you like how to get Raiden's uniform on, right, is like a means for kind of you to explore that environment so that you might be more aware going into the second time. Like they low key give you a reason to explore the first time. So I thought this was totally fine, yeah, and I like the challenge of like, okay, right, getting over there. I know how to get there. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, right. I liked it.
I forgot one thing about the cutscene that I wanted to bring up.
Sure.
Sorry to backtrack again, but when Eva is talking about, I think this is in the cave, her motorcycle and why she rides it, right? Mm-hmm. She's talking about like when I ride at high speeds, the wind is so harsh I can't feel anything else.
Yeah, which I'm like,
all right. Yeah.
Have you seen a normal
thing a person would say?
Like,
yeah,
yeah, it's kind of yeah. Are you okay? You right?
I will say the game, like, I haven't written down as many as I did with 1 or 2, but I do think there are some lines like that I like, you know, that are just like stupid and like, all right, sure, why not? Like the standout that I did write down, I think this entire playthrough really was the Sokolov scene where he's like, I'm tired. Like, that was funny. Or I think you also highlighted last week, Granin, is this his name, right?
Granin.
Yeah. His toast to capitalism at the end of his big speech. Like, there's a couple things in this game that I do think, like, line-wise, delivery-wise, I still really like, but, I think that's another instance of her not feeling anything. It's like, oh, sure, you know, like, it's whatever. But
yeah,
I enjoy it. Anybody have any issue with the actual Shagohod hangar planting these bombs?
I remember when I first played this game years ago, I remember sneaking around more, but when I popped in now, I had like a bunch of suppressors at this point, because I was able to find a bunch this playthrough, or this session, and I was like, went up to the crow's nest, like on the platform, and just went sniping people with this trank from like very far, and I wasn't headshotting people, I was just hitting them in the chest and moving on to the next person, and I was able to get everyone from like 100 feet away with this trank pistol, so, and then I just planted the bombs when everyone was tranked, so.
I tried to do that with the easy gun, but my issue was I was out of food and I had no stamina, so Snake kept aiming the gun like an old lady or something. Like, had major issues with that, but I did manage to do it, and I thought it was a lot of fun. I think the sequence of sneaking around, and it's also a nice looking hangar. I always appreciate when the game looks good, and man, is that Metal Gear Orange? You can't get enough of it. You just can't.
Kevin,
it was orange, right?
It was orange, yeah. It was like an orangey brown for sure.
Yeah, definitely like orangey. Yeah, no, I took everyone out with my easy gun, did the thing. I put, I think, way too much thought into like placing the C3. I thought I had to put it like directly on the tank. I thought maybe if I put it on the ground next to it, like it wouldn't work or something like that. But no, it was just laid down in front of it. Yeah, so definitely no problems there. No.
This was Jack. This is, I think, in my entire playthrough where I felt the alert thing the most, because I had the scientists freaking out every time they saw me, and I couldn't trank them because I had the military uniform on still, because I didn't want to get spotted by the guards. And I was like, I thought I couldn't use any guns, like that room in Metal Gear Solid 1 where they're like, hey, you take a gun out, it's over. So like I didn't even try it, so it took me a couple attempts, but yeah, after I tranked everybody, yeah, it was a cool sequence. I liked planting all the bombs, but after this, it really, I think, triggers the rest of the game, like the end of the game, at least in Russia, right? Because we have like a lot of cutscenes, and the major sequences I think that are left are really just Volgin, Shagohod, and the boss. So, does anybody want to touch on anything teeing up the Volgin fight, or do you just want to talk about the Volgin fight?
I don't think anything really happens.
Yeah, we can just jump in.
Okay.
A lot of exposition.
Yeah.
Before the cutscene with the Volgin fight? Or wait, are we talking about the cutscene with the Volgin fight?
Before the fight starts.
Okay, I would like to mention, I think Snake is like captured here, right? Or like he's in a bad position.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they're considering whether to kill him, and I think I don't know, maybe Snake asked to explain the Philosopher's Legacy, and Volgan's like, very well, I will tell you before I kill you. And it was just so
Yes.
dumb. Like,
Yeah.
All right.
Again, being a parody with no satisfying result. It is just ends up being a parody. Very well, let me tell you my dastardly plan. And like, there's no payoff to that. It's just a parody.
I was rewatching Austin Powers, right? And like, there's that scene. Sorry to spoil you, Kevin. But like, there's the scene where Dr. Evil is sitting at the table, and Austin Powers is captured, and Dr. Evil's son Scott is like, Dad, I can just shoot him right now. You want me to just get a gun? I'll kill him right here. And Dr. Evil is like, no, son, I have to explain my plot to him in crazy detail and make an escape room that he can easily get away from. Like, there's a good joke there. And Metal Gear Solid 3 just plays it straight. It's like, all right.
Yeah, like, is it a parody if it's, like, in earnest? Like, I don't know. Like, I just, like, is it self-parody at that? I don't understand, but...
Well, because Metal Gear Solid 2 is like a parody of Metal Gear Solid 1, right? And it's always referencing it and making jokes about how crazy that game was.
Yeah.
And this is just like, I don't know, maybe something got lost in translation. I don't know. It seems like a joke.
You said this earlier in the podcast, Omar, but like, there's a purpose for Metal Gear Solid 2 to be so referential to the first game, where Metal Gear Solid 3 is referencing so many different 1960s things and James Bond films and stuff like that, but it doesn't say anything about them. It just is doing them again, but now it's Metal Gear, and there's just no payoff to that, and I think it's kind of unsatisfying by the end.
Definitely.
Does anybody think the Volgin fight is unsatisfying?
Yes.
Tell me about it, Kevin.
Yeah. It's just boring. It's like... It's like we had such a good Fury fight, you know. I'm like, okay, this is great. Like, we got some strategy here. We have a nice environment that we're doing it. But no, we're literally just thrown in this like lowered elevator type thing, I guess, for planes or whatever. And yeah, it's really boring. And I didn't figure out how to like evade or dodge his attacks. Really, I was kind of just taking it on the chin, and I think if his back was towards you, you could get damage on him. But I ended up just spraying for as long as possible, and sometimes it would do damage, sometimes it wouldn't. So that's essentially what I ended up doing on this fight. But yeah, I thought it was pretty boring, to be honest.
So, Jack, I'm wondering, because I definitely had to like work around his mechanics, so I'm imagining you did too. But I like that. It's because he's lightning based, right? Lightning is attracted to metal, so like when you have a gun equipped, if he shoots a lightning bolt at you, it automatically is going to get you. So I like the implementation where you can like bait lightning by having a gun equipped when he's readying it, and then freezing time to like go into your inventory, and then de-equipping it, and then doing like a dodge roll, and then re-equipping it, and then shooting him. So, like, I did like that rotation. I thought that was fun, but I never felt like it got deeper than that. I don't know if you playing on normal experienced anything else, but...
Not really. That's pretty much the meta of this boss fight, and the equip de-equip mechanic comes. I'll refer to it in the Shagohod fight, but that comes into a big play then. Mm-hmm. But yeah, in this one, it's essentially like run around with a gun when he's about to attack, de-equip, dodge, take out your gun. I tried to aim for the head, but sometimes I would just hold square and it would just auto-target him and then chip away. I think the first attempt, I ran out of time because I was like playing it very slowly. And then the second attempt, I realized that happened with the boss as well. I was like taking way too much time just sort of figuring out the mechanics and trying to use them against the boss characters, I guess. But eventually I got it on the second time. But yeah, it's not that interesting of a boss fight. It's mostly just the gimmick of the lightning attacks, and after you learn them, it's just kind of whatever.
Yeah. Omar, what about you in this fight? Also, what do you think of Ocelot being in play here as well, and like occasionally supporting you, and Volgin getting a little suspicious? Like, what is the highlight for you? Is it just like that, like set dressing here, or is it the mechanics? Like, what's your takeaways from Volgin?
Well, the thing with the Ocelot thing is I just can't take it seriously because I feel like I know what he's trying to do. Yeah. Right with the whole like giving that character backstory, it really doesn't work for me. I think it's supposed to be cute, but I'm just like, yeah, I get it. He's a triple agent. I don't know. Like, I don't. What was the Vulcan thing? Honestly, I died a few times. I didn't know when the best times to get on him were. Mm-hmm. And the unequipped thing took me a bit to figure out too. But yeah, pretty uninteresting boss fight. I think I'm never a fan when this game does that harsh, like bright green lighting. I think it looks lame.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was me.
The codec comes into play a lot more than I think most boss fights, because I called like pretty much everyone. They all had some good things to say. Major Zero said if you had a gun equipped and you were attacked, then the bullets will explode. Sigint said attack from the side or the back with a gun, because head-on attacks will not work. And then, yeah, I thought that was actually like the one time the codec came into play, in a significant way.
See, I called the Major, and I thought he was like saying like my gun would explode, like what the boss could do or something. So I didn't really. It took me a bit to like actually give that a try, but yeah.
Yeah. So overall, another unassuming, uninteresting boss in this game, I think. And like, I don't know how you guys felt about Volgin as a character in general. We never really like gave a whole opinion on him, but he feels like a cartoon villain to me more than any other Metal Gear villain, and I'm kind of glad he's. I don't even know if I'm glad he's gone, because he just took up too much space. I think I wasn't into him the entire game, really.
I feel like it's a boring, forgettable character.
Yeah.
I think if he just had like a cooler voice actor, I would have liked him a bit more, or like felt more intimidated by him. But no, he's just lame. And he's talking about his money. I'm like, all right.
Yeah, I don't like Volgin, but the Shagohod fight. Jack, you wanted to bring up the inventory switching. You want to tee us up with how this Shagohod fight works out?
Yeah. So first we do like the motorcycle chase, right, and blow up the bridge. We do that first, and then we get to the Shagohod fight where it's you and Eva like riding around on a motorcycle. And then the key here is to do like take out your RPG and then like shoot the treads and then shoot the back of the RPG of the Shagohod rather. I think Omar is having some difficulties.
Difficulties over here. Oh man.
All good, Omar.
Oh man. Okay.
So.
Oh man.
Jack, sorry. Can you repeat what you said about?
So basically, you're using the RPG to like shoot there's like two treads essentially on the Shagohod. Mm-hmm. If you shoot it, it'll like stop in its tracks, and then you get around to the back, and then you shoot the back of the Shagohod with the RPG. But the load time of the RPG is so egregious that if you just equip it and unequip it, it just instantly reloads.
Really? I wish I knew that. Damn, I wish I knew that.
So God, if you do that, if you like you shoot the RPG, equip, and then you shoot it again, you can just have like a full auto RPG essentially, which is that was the way that I found to do it, and I was like, oh, well, I guess the game's letting me, so I'm just gonna fucking unload with this RPG.
I am with Kevin. I did not know that. That would have been very nice.
Yeah, I wish I knew that. Yeah, like I thought it was timed specifically. It's like, okay, like, you know, when his tread is stunned or whatever, that would give me enough time to have Eva go behind. Which I wish there was a way I could have controlled the motorcycle sometimes, Loki, because there were times where he was stunned and she just did not want to go behind him, and it's like, I need you to go behind when I stunned Shagohad. It was not. Sometimes it wasn't working out that great, but yeah. And I also hated the motorcycle lead up to this.
Oh really?
Yeah, I don't think that worked out well. Like, it just feels it's like the complete opposite of what I've liked in Metal Gear gameplay, and it's like the complete opposite. Like, it feels just like action movie. Like, it reminded me a lot of COD. You know, like some big, fantastic, like bombastic chase scene in like Modern 2. You know, and I just don't think that like I just don't think the controls feel as like allowed that to feel as good as what it probably would have felt like on paper. You know what I'm saying? I didn't think it was that cool. Like, I guess, yeah, cool set piece, sure, absolutely, but like to control it felt weird, and the like intermittent pauses of like, we're gonna show you a little cutscene and then throw you in the gameplay and like a very awkward, weird part in that chase scene. Yeah, but the overall Shagohad fight, I thought was pretty okay. Like, you know, I did have to call. I forgot who I called, but someone told me, "Hey, shoot in the area behind the just shoot behind him, because it's damaged from the bridge collapse and explosion and all that." So,
right. So I know you talked with Metal Gear Solid 1 about, I forget how much love there was for it, but I think in concept at the very least, and at the end of it all, you really liked fighting Rex. Right, Kevin?
Yeah. Once I understood his mechanics, it was fun. Yeah, and it was fun to interact with.
You were let down by Ray, right?
Yeah.
How does? Because there's like the bunch of different Rays. You were like slaying them with Raiden at the end, basically.
Oh yeah, nah, that one wasn't it.
So how would you compare? Because again, kind of proto Metal Gear. How would you compare Shagohad to the other two Metal Gear fights we've had so far?
I think it's similar to Rex in a lot of ways. I'd put them probably in the same bar, honestly. Like, I feel like I think the only thing that made it less fun for me was not being able to shoot behind when I wanted to and when I needed to. Just off of Eva's AI, just sometimes she was gonna go behind, sometimes she didn't. So you were kind of like at the mercy at that point. But yeah, so I guess maybe a little bit less than Rex, because Rex, you had more control overall with your action. So
yeah,
but I think it was more towards MGS1 for sure.
Sure, because correct me if I'm wrong, but was one of the issues you had with Rex mainly just like placement on the field, like compared to Rex, and like how like moving around in that scenario? Because I feel like taking away that level of full control with Eva here might be an attempt to sort of make it so like more of your focus is just on dealing the damage and not having to worry about placement the way you had to in 1, because I know that didn't work. I think that was a thing that didn't work for you in 1.
Was it?
I don't remember.
I guess, yeah, kind of. Yeah, I guess. I still feel like ultimately, like, you do have less control in MGS3 just because you're not controlling the motorcycle, but yeah, no, like, I still find it closer to the Rex fight than, especially like MGS2. Like, MGS2, that wasn't even really a boss fight. You know, like I don't know, it was weird. Yeah, at least for me.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah.
Omar.
Hey.
What's poppin'?
I don't know what it looked like.
You pulled the
was I,
Colonel.
like, I did.
Yeah,
You did.
You were like
Yeah,
freezing
really?
up.
We saw your skeleton. It was
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, man, it's pretty wild.
Was I making noises?
No.
Okay.
A couple little blurbs, but nothing major.
Oh, okay.
You said
cool.
something about a North American bird. It was very.
Yeah, man, it was crazy.
All right. Wet worm.
So, Omar, what do you think of Shagahad? What do you think of this fight?
Sure. I couldn't figure out. I don't know if you guys figured it out, but does that motorcycle actually have warthog controls? Does it like the camera direction where you're facing? Does the motorcycle move wherever you're facing the camera, or no?
Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, I
It felt very on rails.
Okay, because it always sometimes Eva would just be going in circles, and I was like, "Oh, am I doing that? Like, is that me?"
Yeah, because the Shagahad and the motorcycle would like be turning in the same direction, so like you couldn't get behind at certain points, and I was like, well, that was a wasted opportunity.
Right. What else? Oh, I guess I also thought like as a set piece, it was like really impressive. Like in terms of like the visuals, like I don't know how it would look on a 3DS. This game's on 3DS. I'm really curious about that. Like honestly. But yeah, the actual Shagahad fight I thought was cool. I like the RPG stuff, and that's when I didn't know about the reload mechanic until that. Right, I don't know if you guys talked about that, but pressing R2 to reload just instantly, like awesome.
Jack and Thorn, me and Christian.
Yeah.
That's the meta of this fight, dude. Where the RPG reload is like 5 seconds, and then you just breaks the game. You just unequip and re-equip, and your gun's reloaded, ready for you. It's kind of like Kevin might know this from his time in Call of Duty, but if you're doing some no scoping with an intervention, you do a YY as the kids call it.
Absolutely,
you don't need to do the bolt pull. You just back in the action. It's pretty much what this is.
It's called a reload cancel. You can also do that with by sprinting. You know, you can also do that. Yeah, there's a lot of different ways to get around that reload animation. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this one I think is way more egregious. Straight up just RPGs are ready to go, and you just have.
It was like if you could bypass the javelin reload, like in Modern Warfare 2, like this would be it. Like
things raining from the skies. Yeah,
I honestly spent most of the game actually like kind of wondering, like, I wonder if there's a reload button, because there were cases where I wanted to reload an egg cannon, I couldn't, but I kind of just assumed that was like a whole like, oh, it's the Cold War and people want to conserve bullets or something.
It's the Cold War.
but yeah,
that mechanic, the equip unequip mechanic, I think was even in Metal Gear Solid 1 and Metal Gear Solid 2, but this was like a very, like, you could do that in whatever, it doesn't really matter all that much, but this is the first situation where you kind of need to do it, and the game doesn't tell you to do that. Like, Zero's not like, hey, unequip and re-equip your gun if you want to reload faster. But if you know, it's kind of like, if you know to do that, you should probably do that just to expedite the process.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know what process I would have liked to expedite, and that's this next thing. Kevin, don't you love an escort quest?
Just love it, especially ones where your comrade is slow for whatever reasons. You know, enjoyed it. Yep, love it so much. Felt just like Last of Us, 100%. You know, great. Yeah, no, I was pretty shocked. I mean, was I really shocked? I don't think I was really that shocked. It's like, okay, like this is just some bullshit. Here we go. Like, yeah, I don't. Why? I just why? You know, like what Metal Gear fan is like, oh yes, please give me this, daddy. Like what? Like, come on now. You know, where you have to like escort Eva. You have to just wave her over every like 5 or 6 seconds. She's moving like molasses. Yeah, it's not particularly fun. Yeah,
I think it's. You ask why? I think it's another example of maybe Kojima just being like, why not? Because I feel like a lot of this game can just boil it down to that, right? Like,
yeah, I guess so.
This is my maybe least favorite part of the game mechanically, I think. Not counting any of the, like, you know, sexism and any of the other bad writing or anything like that, but just in terms of mechanics, no crouch walk, then this.
There are some serious, I feel like, sexism with this part too, where you go into that cure menu later on, or the if you need to feed Eva, and like Snake, you see his clothes if you want to feed him, but Eva, you just see the bikini.
Mm-hmm.
It's just fucked up, man.
Wait, really? I didn't even notice that. Oh shit!
I think so. I think the first time when you're doing the surgery on her, she's got the coat. But then if you want to give her, like, when she goes like, "I'm hungry," you give her a ramen later. You see bikini Eva in the menu, or maybe not the menu, but like in the surgery thing.
Right.
It was at this point, or maybe at the point where she was flying the plane, where the camera panned over to her and she was still dressed like that. I'm like, dude, you are being chased. Like, zip up.
Yeah.
Zip up.
Obviously Kojima's fault, but like, geez, it was just like ridiculous. I couldn't believe that was the attire that the creators had her wear at this point. It was ridiculous. The note for this section, I agree with all you guys, was this is the fucking worst, because I disagree with Kevin slightly in the previous section of like the chase, where it is very much on Metal Gear, where it is like a very much an action oriented section, but I think it's excusable because at that point the game has just ramped up into such like a fast paced section, and for the most part I liked it.
Reminded me of Uncharted, kind of.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And I did like that section, despite it being sort of different from the rest of the Metal Gear sort of formula. But talk about grinding the game to an utter halt in this section, and then having it right before, like, this is the last like normal section of the game before the final boss fight. Yeah. And this is the last taste you get of that. Having to periodically tell Eva to follow you. AI mechanics not working all that well, guards seeing you very easily, for me at least, and then just, I was also worried about not killing anyone because I was going for a non-lethal playthrough.
Bet you wanted
and
to.
Eva's just Eva's pulling out her gun, and I'm like, do Eva's gun kills count? I looked it up, they don't, but I'm also tranking people, they're falling in the mud, and I'm like, I don't want them to drown. It was just, it got to a point where the game wanted you to be stealthy, but it was very hard to be stealthy because their guards were on you very quickly, and Eva was not very helpful. She kind of wanted to get caught, to be completely honest, and it was not a good section. I agree. I think this is the worst section of the game.
Well, what many people would say is probably the best section of the game, potentially. Immediately follows this, right? We get our final boss encounter. For that was pun not intended. I promise. I made many this episode. That was not one.
I think for Kojima, the pun was intended.
Oh yes, absolutely. Yeah, right. Like, I mean, I forget who brought it up. It was either Omar or Jack, but like in Metal Gear 1. Big Boss is called Big Boss because he's the big boss of the game, right? Like, that's, I think, like, that's fun here too, right? And I think there's a lot that gets revealed in these final chapters of the game about the boss and her role of everything. But I don't know where we should start with this. Was anybody, because I talked about this a couple times as like for our episode wrap-ups. Was anybody else with me of like being very worried about this not being good?
I wasn't really caring too much for the boss by this point, to be honest. I think she's got a weird way of speaking in this game, where the dialogue and
very stilted.
Yeah. So no, I did enjoy it in the end, but I don't know what do you guys think about.
The gameplay of this is fun enough because for me, I was throwing my snow camo, blend in the flowers, pop out, shoot, rinse, wash, repeat. But I really liked the sort of, well, in some ways I did, some ways I didn't. I liked the backstory for the boss. But I think her character isn't. I don't care about her character until like probably the last line of the game, or probably the last bit of exposition, which is a lot of tell and don't show, which I think Metal Gear is kind of infamous for. But I think it works in the end for this game, at least for the boss's character. I found there's a very weird parallel between the boss and Black Widow from Age of Ultron, and it's this weird trend of tying maternity to like a woman's point of existence, and you get the sort of sense that the boss is like, I couldn't get pregnant anymore, so what's the point of really caring about anything or anyone anymore? And it's like, that's kind of gross. Like, if it's just weird that obviously a man's writing this and his view of woman is they're meant to procreate, and if they can't do that, then what's the point? And it's very gross and completely unneeded. There was like one line where they addressed that, and that was not necessary in this game at all.
Jack, do you know there's a character in Death Stranding called Mama?
Yeah.
I just have to say it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Not
Just
surprised.
So,
I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm sorry. I had to say.
No, that's all I had to say.
All right.
Yeah, I was definitely worried because I'm with you, Omar, for the majority of this game. I was like, I'm not feeling the boss. Like, I really wasn't. But, like, I think in the end it all works out with, you know, the final movie. You know, I feel like... I honestly, I think the reason that many people probably say that this game is great is because they just kind of nail the ending they nail it. That's the one thing they nail, I think, you know, because they're scrambling throughout the entire thing, and retroactively it makes some things better, but it's what you said, Jack. It's like a lot of telling and not earning that or showing that.
Yeah. It's literally Eva telling you what actually happened.
I was gonna say mechanically, I you know, you have to CQC the boss. Even though I didn't even feel it at this point with the way the game made me feel about our character, I know deep in my heart I have to CQC the boss. So I got my fists out, and very easy difficulty. Right, I did it in under 5 minutes, or just over 5 minutes, which means that I didn't get to hear that Snake Eater song during the boss fight, which really pissed me off because I got that little glimpse of it. And then I got the cutscene at the ending of the game. But yeah,
I failed the first time, and I got the whole song, which
awesome.
in a way was good because you got to hear that. But the second time I did it, I beat it in under 10 minutes. But yeah, the song kicking in is great.
Yeah, because I think, I don't know if you guys touched on this when the flub happened, but I think visually it's well deserving of like being one of the most beautiful set pieces, I think, in the entire series. Like, it's gorgeous. I love the flowers, just the two of them, the CQC, like everything, the way it's shot. I think even though early in the game we touched a lot on the camera work, and that's when I started being worried. I was like, is the camera work gonna kill that final scene? It didn't for me. I thought, thankfully, everything came together here. And, you know, it's recontextualized towards the end. But, Kevin, you're the beginner here. You're the one who's seeing this fight for the first time. You finally have to fight the boss. Let's hear it.
Kevin had the best
I think Jack, do you recall my quote?
Yes. The quote
Nice.
where after her long soliloquy and leading into the fact that Snake is going to have to defeat his mentor, Kevin goes, all right, let me hit her with an AK.
So I start with the AK, right? I start mowing it down because all right, should I have CQC'd? Maybe. That's not how we're gonna do this. No, we're not. No sir. So I'm hitting her with the AK to start off, and then she takes my AK. I'm like, oh man. But I pick up the AK again, and I pick up only one ammo. I'm like, this is not gonna be enough. Like so I'm looking through. I remember that I got an LMG at some point in the game. It had 1,000 rounds in this baby. So I'm like, oh, this is gonna be it. Like, I'm a killer with this. Like let's go. So I had not used this throughout the entire game. So it was a surprise to all of us on stream that Snake screams when he's using this LMG, like and while it's going off. So that was a fun time. I definitely enjoyed it. Yeah, one of the highlights in this game, honestly. I thought that was a really fun, or I definitely made it more fun, I think, with the weapon of choice for sure. But the actual set piece, yeah, it's cool. I liked it. I definitely see the appeal. Yeah, definitely the highlights for MGS3 for sure. But I think I end up making a very entertaining boss fight for sure. Definitely did.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Hell yeah.
Like what you're saying, Christian, I feel like this is definitely one of the more memorable Metal Gear moments, but I could totally see like a screenshot of the two of them in this field showing up on like a boomer Facebook gamer page and being like this if you cried when you first played this.
You cried.
Oh man, no, you're completely right. Like day one, I think like we called it a dad game. It's a dad movie game, you know. Like it's. I mean, I feel like we can crack it open to just the whole ending at this point, like free range. Unless
Free range X.
There's anything final to say about the boss thing. Like, I don't know if y'all seen that the pachinko machine version of this looks real nice. Like,
yeah.
Oh, there is. Speaking of the hidden R1s that I talked about, there's a hidden R1 at this point where the boss's horse comes over, it neighs, looks up, and then you hit R1, and you see the boss and the Sorrow fade away together, which is nice.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Shout
out to Jack for shouting that out on stream. We have it recorded. It's on the playlist. You'll love to see it.
Mm-hmm.
That's very cool.
I don't really care for the Kojima like super in your face symbolism stuff, where I feel like, you know, all the petals turning to red right after. It was like, all right, I don't know, but it does look nice.
Yeah,
it was a very beautiful battlefield. You know, their last battlefield.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
can love bloom.
It truly can. it truly love and death, both at the same time.
I'll get the other two hidden R1s out of the way, just because I'm talking about it. When you shake the president or whoever that person is in the White House, you hit R1, you look to the left. It's a very silly Ocelot doing his as you're like right outside the White House, which is ridiculous but hilarious. And then at the grave site, I told Kevin not to do this because you had to see the meme, but during the meme of the salute, if you look ahead, you can see the graveyard, and it looks all watery because Snake is crying. So.
Oh,
damn.
Oh, I see. Okay, gotcha.
I'm not gonna say this because it might be something I'm thinking of about another thing. So never mind. I'll ask about this later afterward.
The answer is yes, Christian.
For this?
Mm-hmm.
Wait. No, wait.
I think I know what you're talking about.
So can I say it?
Yeah. No.
It might spoil.
Okay.
If I think I know what you're talking about.
Is it like a pedal type thing? Because we have one pedal on the ground.
I think you're talking about another game, right?
I think it's another game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind. Yeah. So what? Let's just talk about the boss first, right? Because we learned that the boss, a true patriot, you know, died for her country. Sacrificed herself because of a huge fuck up that they just needed to cover up and have her take the fall for it, which I think is weird because I feel like that is the origin point for Big Boss, the way we have been meant to think of Big Boss in 1 and 2 more than any of this game is, right? Because it's like the Big Boss we know from Metal Gear Solid 1 and 2 does not like the United States, is very much like I'm trying to make my own world order of society where people like myself and the boss are celebrated for the heroes they are. Like, this entire game, he's just like working for the US, you know? Like, it's I think that's weird because it feels like the end of this game, like the boss fight to the end is like, that's what people think is great about Snake Eater, I think, right? Like, that's it. That's what people hold on to and why people say it's the best one.
Yeah, the only character I really cared about by the end of this game, and it was very much at the very end of this game, was Boss. Mm-hmm. Because she is a tragic character of... She was essentially supposed to be doing what Snake was doing and, like, dismantling Shagahad, getting the Philosopher's Legacy, all that sort of stuff. And then, because of Volgin being stupid mm-hmm. in unleashing a nuke, she basically, like what you said, Christian, has to take the fall. And I think it's a really compelling story. It is very much told to you, but I think it nails it at the end of the game. But the stinger of leaving off on Snake saluting the grave, I was like, I still don't care about this character, and immediately I was like, I kind of need a sequel to this to get into what's going on in Big Boss's brain, because I didn't care about this character throughout the entirety of the game, and now, just now, he's dealing with the loss of a mentor and what that means specifically to him, and him having to carry on that legacy, which I think could be interesting. But at the end of the game, you still don't have that, and I know that's sort of the point of a prequel and introducing that, but holistically, I don't think Naked Snake and Big Boss in this game is an interesting character. And I think he has a lot of room to grow, and I'm interested to see, after playing this, what sequels would do for him. Because I just didn't get much for him.
Jack, that's a really good point about wanting a sequel, and like the point of prequels maybe aren't always to satisfy everything. But I think what makes it hurt, especially for Big Boss, is like prequels work when it's showing you a character you've seen before. We've never seen Big Boss, like we played Metal Gear Solid and Metal Gear Solid 2. We saw the clones of Big Boss. We never saw Big Boss. Like we never, I know, like timeline wise,
we haven't.
Right? Yeah. Timeline wise, in Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2, sure, but like even then, from like what I've seen of those games, Big Boss is not characterized really in any way, No. So like, it feels like we're just. I think maybe the issue is this game, because you're introducing Big Boss really for the first time to the audience, because not many people played the original ones that are all the fans of Solid, right? Like, I think it's acting as a prequel to Solid when it should be acting as like this is our first step type thing, because like we don't know what this guy becomes other than he died before Metal Gear Solid 1 and he's a bad guy, right? And he inspired all these other people.
Yeah. I think this game only saves itself in the fact that the boss's story ended up being interesting. Mm-hmm. And the legacy of the boss is forever now ingrained in Big Boss. We don't get that in this game. We get the introduction of that, mm-hmm. and it very much scratches the surface of what Big Boss's character could potentially become. But we don't know that yet, and I do, in a sense, I like how you are sort of unsatisfied with that at the end of the game. Mm-hmm. But I don't think the rest of the game speaks to that at all.
Yeah.
It really only comes together in the very end. But overall, I think the game is largely unsatisfying.
I feel like if it was like, if this was, for instance, like a Solid Snake prequel or something, and when I was like, Kojima was like, hey, this is how Solid Snake became horny. Like, I feel like giving this game, like, a largely unestablished character means that they had a lot of room to, a fresh characterization, like to solve the prequel problem of, filling in gaps. I feel like this is cool because they kind of almost have a blank slate in a lot of ways, but they don't do anything too interesting with that blank slate. I feel like.
Yeah, like,
yeah, I don't know I don't know, guy. Like, I remember the first episode, I was like, okay, this is probably Big Boss, and if this game just ends up being just like, oh, at the end, like,
dude, you nailed it.
Is Big Boss, like, damn, like, that's gonna be kind of underwhelming. And like, I think that's mostly true. Like, I don't know. Like, I definitely feel Jack on like okay because I was thinking like a lot last night. Like, I hope they, do a lot of explaining like perhaps Big Boss's pain that he might feel, or like some sort of sadness or guilt or something like that. Whatever comes next, and I think now it's pretty clear that MGS4 and MGS5 is Big Boss, right? Is that something that I should just let?
So far, Kevin, Metal Gear Solid
out
1,
there?
2, and 3 were different protagonists, right? So
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know.
eye patch. I don't know. Maybe there's multiple people that have eye patches. I guess But yeah. So okay. So maybe I should have just assumed that, but. That's
Well,
my
I'd like to hear
likely
your guess,
suspicion.
to be honest.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I honestly want to know what Kevin thinks, what you, Kevin, think of what the next game will be. Because at this point, it's probably like, I don't know. Like,
Okay.
I wouldn't know what to think of what a sequel to this franchise would be right now.
So it's Guns of the Patriots. I think they made the point that the philosophers were the old name of what we would call the Patriots now.
The Patriots are like the American offset of the philosophers.
Yeah.
And the boss was the American player, I guess, for them.
She was a descendant of the philosophers, I believe.
Yeah, like she was the one that's it sprouted from.
Right.
On the American side. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there's where I think we're going here. Man. Like, I assume we're going. Oh wait, no! Didn't the end of the credits say something like shit?
Wait.
The last like timeline thing. What was that?
In the
1972.
Yeah.
Oh, the is it the Le Font Terrible project? Yeah. So I'm assuming now we're gonna see like maybe how. Or like how they cloned Big Boss and stuff like that. Like, I bet that's probably a big portion of MGS4. I'm assuming. Yeah, that's okay. So there's that. Are we gonna run into Alakhan's, I guess, father or grandfather, or maybe both? There's that. I know I keep calling out Alakhan, but MGS3 maybe loses points because there's no Otacon as far as I'm aware. Maybe loses a few points. I don't know.
So do we want to touch on some of like the? I don't know if all these things are theories, but like I don't know how much of this stuff is confirmed. But like, isn't there a theory about the boss having birthed someone? Like,
yeah, I actually had to double check, Christian, because I didn't know that was revealed later on, but it's actually revealed by Kojima himself in the director's commentary for Metal Gear Solid 3, the Extreme Box, or whatever, released in 2004. Mm-hmm. So there is an answer. Should we say it? You want to say it?
I mean, I think
is it said in the games? Is it said in the games?
It was out there by Kojima in 2004, and I don't think it was said in the game ever again.
I don't think this is ever touched on, but yeah.
I think so. Eva has a conversation with you on Codec at one point about the boss having. Fuck! I told the story wrong. There's a conversation with. Apologies. There's a conversation with Eva at one point who says, I think Snake asks her about Ocelot, and Eva says, I hear he's the son of some legendary war hero. And I think it's implied to you that Ocelot is the son of the boss. And then in the DVD commentary or whatever, it is revealed that Ocelot is the son of the boss and the Sorrow.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
And I think she gave birth on a battlefield. I think that was part
yeah, yeah. That's what she said. Which I'm like, damn. All right, Queen, go ahead. Like, shout out to you because that seems like a lot. But okay, that's for a second. I thought they were gonna pull Naked Snake is the son of Boss, and that's like that because Eva says like, "Oh, like there's like a deep relationship between you two that I don't know if I'll ever like understand."
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, "Oh wait, is that what she meant? Like a mother son type dynamic?" But okay, Ocelot is the kid of the boss. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, huh? All right.
So there's a little more with Ocelot at the end of the game as well. Specifically the post credits. I don't know if we want to talk about that right now, but
we're really jumping around.
Yeah, because there's the whole Ocelot plane thing that I thought was going to end up being a lot cooler, but it was kind of stupid. I was like, dude, I don't know.
When you guys talk about nailing the ending, I feel like they got really close, but then there's some dumb gags in there in the middle that are just like, you didn't need to. You didn't have to.
I think maybe not nailing it, but they put a pin in the point of the boss story, and I think in a very solid way. You know?
I think anything from Snake walking in, accepting the title of Big Boss, like very resigned to that, like he was he pretty much did not want to be there, to the graveyard scene, I think was next to perfect. Despite the we could use someone for our sneaking missions or the like very telegraphed exposition. Mm-hmm. I think that is nearly perfect because like you get the sense of without Snake ever saying anything in those scenes. I'm pretty sure he stopped saying stuff once he's like listening to the Eva recording. I think the fact that he was fucked over by Eva when he trusted her, and the fact that he learns the boss's like true story and true mission, and having to live with that going forward, I think that's next to perfect. Which is saying something because this game has a lot of issues. But yes, I agree with what Christian said, where I do think they nailed at least that section of this ending.
Would Big Boss have been a stronger character throughout this game if he didn't talk as much at all, really?
Well, he doesn't talk too much, though.
Even less.
Even less.
Say less.
Well, I think it is cool when he doesn't like speak at all during that last boss fight.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's neat.
Yeah, me too.
But otherwise, I think we've seen stuff with Kojima like exploring these ideas of like, protagonists that talk way less than Snake. Like I think Norman Reedus talked way less than Snake in Death Stranding. Like I don't think he nails it a lot. I think he's really good at when the character is likable and having conversations with them. Mm-hmm. But I kind of feel like a lot is missing when the character is not talking that much. With these games specifically, I would like more talking from the main character.
Then
I guess
maybe a better option would have been like, I know Kojima wanted Kurt Russell for Big Boss. Like maybe that would have been better, because like I think if you remove a lot of that Big Boss characterization that's so tied to Snake in the early hours, like I think you would have been able to set him up as this very different character, not really being compared that much to the one we all love, and then like he's a soldier, like he's not really supposed to be questioning things. Don't have him talk to many people, just be like yes sir, no sir, and then by the end it's like if you want to have him be dead silent in the boss fight, I think that's really effective. But like if that's how he's been born and raised, that's how he'll react to the boss fight. So sprinkle that more throughout the rest of the game.
I think you're right, Christian, and I think this is what we need to talk about. But David Hayter is like bad in this game. Like, maybe it's not his fault. Maybe this is a voice direction thing or the script. Probably it's not his fault actually. But like, I don't think it's. It's not a great performance. It's like I think he's trying to do something more subdued too, which it seems like it's needed for this game. But I think it doesn't come across quite well. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Kevin, what do you think about? Or Jack, are you gonna add on?
No, sorry. Go for it.
Yeah, no, I hadn't really thought about that, but like I guess that would and likely did add a lot to like my resentment towards Naked Snake, and like I don't really think he's really that interesting overall. And like I think maybe subconsciously that was me like wishing that when I heard Naked Snake talk, I wish that the words and the way he was talking was like Solid Snake, just based off just the same voice actor,
Yeah.
And of course looking the exact same as well. Yeah. Like I don't see. Yeah, I see that point now. Right. Where I bet it would have benefited and like helped a lot of like this like prequel that is telling the backstory of a character that we've never met before. You know, like that specific instance, having a different voice actor, like I think would have probably made more sense. Yeah, overall. Yeah, and I think I'm with Omar in terms of like I don't think it was maybe his fault. I think it was maybe just like the direction that they gave him in terms of the lines, for sure. But yeah. Overall, like I still like I think he's a little bit more interesting now that he no longer has the boss and he is Big Boss. I think that makes him a little bit more interesting, but I just wish as a new player to the series, like I wish I was more intrigued by him earlier in the game, you know, as opposed to just thinking like he was just kind of boring. I think in some ways he's kind of an asshole in some ways in the game.
Jack, I don't know if you were gonna bring this up when you were gonna say something, but like that might be the point. But even if it is, I don't know if it's like good, right? Because like he's been a villain looming in the background of 1 and 2, right? Like he's not present, but like you still feel the effects of him in the villains of 1 and 2. So like he's meant to be a bad guy, but like I don't know how well that translates to this, you know?
There are characters in like games and media that you're supposed to dislike who is the protagonist, but it's conveyed effectively. I was trying to think of many. I couldn't come to the top of my head, but Joel from The Last of Us is the first person I thought of, where throughout the events of that game, you realize he's not a good person. He's selfish, but in the end, you can argue that in that regard, that was a good thing. But that's a protagonist throughout that whole game who is largely unlikable and you only like him because of his interactions with Ellie. But with Naked Snake turning into Big Boss, I think maybe it was purposeful that you weren't supposed to like him throughout the game. But I don't think it was conveyed effectively. He comes off very inappropriate largely in a lot of scenes and lacks any interesting characterization only until the very end of the game. And in terms of Metal Gear Solid 3 Big Boss, I don't think he's a very compelling character.
Yeah, I think we're pretty much all on the same page when it comes to Big Boss. Personally, I'm looking forward to seeing like further developments on where we see his character here. Like, because I'm wondering, because like I don't know if it's a spoiler to say that we see Big Boss again at some point, but I don't remember not liking him then in these other instances. Like I don't know what that's because of, but I think in this game I really found myself like really maybe it was the writing, maybe it was the performance, maybe it's because I'm wishing it was Solid Snake, but even if that's the intent, I'm with you, Jack. I don't think it's effective.
I think it's because the reason you didn't like him in points where you see him again is because he's a completely different character at that point, right? Yeah. Like he's completely changed and in that regard, that characterization is effective, where he's changed by the end of this game and he's a new person, but throughout the whole game, he's largely unlikable. Yeah. And I know that was the direction his character was taken. But even that unlikability is not enjoyable in a lot of other protagonists that you're supposed to not like. But yeah, like I said earlier, I think there's a lot of room to grow for his character. Because I agree, I don't remember disliking Big Boss, and I really did not like him in this game for the most part.
I honestly think we're having pretty unique takes on this, because I think on the internet, or the takes I usually read, people really like this character or this in this game. Like, I feel like people really feel for him at the end of it too.
I think it's because of the end, because they're latching on to what they're left with. It is the best part of his character, and that's it.
I would love to talk to someone that like will rather die for MGS3. Like, I do not see it. I do not get it. Like, I don't get how this is anywhere near or remotely better than MGS1 or 2. like
It's
don't
not.
get it.
Like,
Don't
I
get
think
it
we
at all.
we all probably had that thought of finishing this game and being like, we were talking about this in your chat last night, Kevin, of being like, I don't get how you play the first two Metal Gear Solid games and play this game and come away this one being far and above, because that's largely the sentiment of most Metal Gear Solid players. That MGS3 is the best one.
yeah.
And
That's
maybe it's
crazy.
because we didn't play it after the bait and switch of Metal Gear Solid 2. Maybe hindsight has ruined this game, but I think people should go back and play this game,
No,
because
yeah.
I can guarantee you it's not as good as they think it is.
Jack, I have a tweet in my drafts saying just that. Like, I really think, honestly, we talked a lot about Metal Gear Solid needing a remake, right? That game's perfect. Don't touch it. Metal Gear Solid 3, do that again. Try again. You know, like, use the Fox engine, Konami, just like redo this, cut it out, get somebody in here that is a run-of-the-mill person who knows how to just tell a story of a military thing. I think it'll be a better attempt at what this was supposed to be, honestly. Because go ahead.
You know, it like exists, right? Like it was
Yeah.
probably out there.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry. You go ahead.
Yeah. I just, man, I really think that this game did not age well. Because even when I played it originally, right? Like, I played it for the first time in 2015, days before 5. Like, I had a good time with it, but it was because I was like, oh, I'm excited to learn about this character going into this game, you know? Like, the timing, I think, of when I played this was a big part of that. But, and again, that was my first experience with it. But, you know, with the later games and the improvements they make mechanically, I look at Arkham Asylum this way also, kind of like, I love Arkham Asylum. It was my favorite at the time, and then I still love that game so much for so many reasons, but there's so many simple improvements that are made mechanically with the later games that going back to that one just is like, this isn't as great as I thought it was.
See, I played Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3 for the first time like 2011.
Mhm.
And even then I was like pretty underwhelmed by 3 after 2.
Mhm.
And on the concept of like the point of like it didn't age well, like I wasn't there in 2004, but I can't imagine that I would have been happy playing this either back then, in terms of like where Metal Gear Solid 2 went and then getting this. I think I would have, you know, felt pretty miffed about it. But I don't know.
I really feel like this game, I found difficulty trying to find what this game was trying to say, because Metal Gear Solid 1 and Metal Gear Solid 2 had something to say about the world and society in Metal Gear Solid 2's case, but at the end of this, finishing this game, I'm like, what's the point of this game in comparison to the first two games? Because I feel like it wasn't saying as much as the previous Metal Gear games were. And I want to say, though, we're very negative about this game. I think that is, for me at least, I think that is in comparison to the previous Metal Gear games we've played. Overall, I think this is a really, really good game. I wouldn't say great, but I think it is a really good game. Especially when you think about it, like in terms of this game came out in 2004, and on a base level is very impressive in terms of the cutscenes they were showing and the gameplay improvements from Metal Gear Solid 2. The only other games I'm looking at, I looked at 2004 in gaming, were the ones that are sticking out to me are Half-Life 2 and Halo 2. But games just like weren't really doing this formula as much as Metal Gear Solid was. Like the cinematic formula didn't really catch on until after the Metal Gear Solid games, I feel, into the late 2000s. So on a base level, like for people who are listening to this thinking that we're crazy, I understand. I think this is a really good game, but mostly in regard to the previous two Metal Gear games, I don't think this game holds a candle to this.
Like, I think before the ladder sequence, I think the game can probably be called bad, right? Like, I think I would comfortably say that, to be honest. But like, this made it like a lowercase good game for me. Like, it's acceptable. Like it's a thing, you know. Like it's definitely a part of the Metal Gear story. But I wish I walked away like Metal Gear Solid 2 of like this like transcends like gaming as a medium. Like what, like, you know, and like I know it wasn't even trying to do anything to that extent, but just like purely even like talking about it from like a gamer's perspective, like, I had way more better of a time gameplay wise playing Metal Gear Solid 2 than Metal Gear Solid 3. You know, like this feels like a weird step back where I'll just call it a good game because it has really cool set pieces, and I think its music ends up being really well. I just hate that the music is so good at the end that why isn't that throughout the majority of the game?
Didn't want to get caught.
Yeah, it's yeah. I don't know. But yeah, I'll say it's a good game, but I don't think it's anything near great or anything near MGS 1 or 2. So
yeah, I think like 2, I don't even feel comfortable comparing this to 2 that much. I think a lot of the time when I was playing this game, I was comparing it to 1 because I think 2 reaches for the moon and lands it. I think Metal Gear Solid reaches for the stratosphere and is really good, and I think this game can be compared to that because like Metal Gear Solid 1 is making commentary on, you know, just like how military industrial complex works and just like nukes and the fear of technology, which I think like it has something to say. This game retroactively is saying stuff about the Cold War, kind of, but it's more saying things about, I guess, Metal Gear, kind of. But like, I think my biggest thing with it is that I don't think it gets good until this chunk we just played, and even then, it's like a little bit into what we played. So for the first 5 hours, it's like it functions, it's fine, it's serviceable. I don't like it. But the, you know, again, the good part, I do like parts of this game. I think it has good set pieces. Like Kevin said, I like the music. I think it's a good looking game for the time it came out. I think it's an interesting next step where I'm sure at the time, the reason why it was so beloved is because, like you said, episode 1, Omar, it kind of like created a genre. So like people were probably just like so caught up in that, and the idea of the people that hated 2 got this simple, straightforward story with all these new interesting mechanics. I bet that's what sold it for so long, you know? So even if people were because I like at the time, if I was seeing this game when it came out, like Jack said, I'd probably be swept up in it too, of just like survival and like this game looks so good, but story-wise, narratively, I think it's not even the same like stadium as the other 2.
Well, I think it's really tough to say something has aged when like you weren't there to play it.
Yeah.
Like at the time, because I really don't know how I'd feel. Like right now, I think I'd be playing Halo 2 or something with the boys.
Yeah.
But like, I went looking at the Metacritic scores or whatever for this game as it released in 2004, and I thought it's very positive. A ton of them were saying like the mechanics have been refined from 2. Some of the best boss battles in the series I saw frequently, and I do wish I had a time machine to see what it was like, but I do not.
The best boss battles in the series, huh?
People were saying that. I mean, not everyone, but I saw a couple blurbs like that. But
interesting.
I mean, I did see one review that was like a 50 or something that had similar concerns to us, where it was like, the dialogue in this game is bad, which is what someone said. But I was like, yeah, it is. Yeah.
Overall, like I don't think this is a bad game. I think it's a very good game. But I think this game deserves a replay in a different way that Metal Gear Solid 2 deserves a replay.
Yeah.
Because so many people bagged on that game when it came out. And again, like what Omar was saying, I don't know how I would have felt about that game if I was a Metal Gear Solid fan. Because most Metal Gear Solid fans are like, I don't like playing as this whiny Raiden dude, and where's Solid Snake? And I think people were more upset about like aesthetic things back then of not being able to play as a certain character. Whereas like Raiden can do the same exact moves and cooler moves like jumping around than Snake can. And I think people just didn't want to be like messing around with back then. But I think Metal Gear Solid 2 deserves a replay because it is weirdly timely and the story is strangely ages well in a very sad way, honestly. But I think Metal Gear Solid 3 does not age very well, and I think people should re-examine that game, because I'm sure nostalgia will play into it, but I remember enjoying this when I first played it, and now with hindsight and now with playing them so close together, this is my least favorite Metal Gear Solid game so far.
Yeah, it's bottom for me at the moment as well. And I think with the way, because Metal Gear Solid isn't a super relevant series right now, right?
No, it's in the fucking gutter.
Yeah. But I do think that there is still some sort like air of people look at 2 and they think it's pretentious, kind of. But, and I don't know what their favorite would be if they think that, but like, I don't see how in any way this is better, because I think in 2021, like exactly what you said, Jack, I think everyone who swears by this game should replay it if they want to keep saying it's the best one. And like, just because from a simple level, I do think one of the first points I made about this back a couple weeks ago was like, I think the third person camera thing kind of screwed them on it. Like, I think if they locked it to top down still, it would have been at least mechanically more sound, because I had a blast playing 1, I had a blast playing 2. I think those games still control and play well. And here, they go for it, but it's like a half step of going for it. And then we got to it with later entries. So, like, picking up this one, it's a weird in-between. It's like, sure, I guess we're important for, like, the future of the series of some instances, but, like, picking you up again, it's like, what are you doing that's special? Much like a game like A Link to the Past. I just don't think that it's like, it's held up, it's resting on its laurels in the fan base. I think people should revisit it, because 2, like you're all saying, 2 I think shines, and even 1, but we got 2 rankings out the gate. Does anybody else want to throw out what they're thinking for Snake Eater?
Oh, let's do a full ranking real quick, Christian. Sorry, you and I. So mine would be 3 at number 3, 1 at number 2, and 2 at number 1.
I'm the exact same.
Same. Yeah. I'm at 2, 1, 3. Some days, honestly, I might like 1 more than 2. But I think overall, like 2's gameplay is just such a step up over MGS1 for me personally. So yeah, like definitely more days than not. It's MGS2 and then 1 and then 3. Yeah.
I definitely get what you're saying though, Kevin. Because like I think 1 is my favorite scenario of the entire
Dude, it's
series.
So good. I miss it.
Yeah.
I miss it so much.
Like,
I miss it so much.
Genuinely, with the hindsight of the entire series, I
So
think
cool.
on a scenario level, I still think 1's the best, despite 2 outclassing it in many other ways. So I still rank 2 higher, but I do think, like you're saying, 1's got the vibes, and like
1 is really special. Yeah. Like now I see like how unique the first Metal Gear Solid felt.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like it has a very specific flavor to it that like I miss it. Yeah.
Go back to the podcast episodes, Kevin, and listen to what you said back then.
Yeah, dude.
Regret what you said.
What did I say?
Yeah,
you're pooping all over that fucking thing. Yeah, 10 is what you gave it.
I had to defend that game.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I
can't believe what I'm hearing, to be honest.
I did talk a lot of shit about it.
Replay Metal Gear Solid 2.
Yeah, now like removed from it, I really do miss MGS1, and like I do think it was great.
Yeah.
Now it just took a while to taste the wine, I suppose. You know.
Mm-hmm.
See, I feel like Metal Gear Solid 1 is brilliant, and then I feel like 2 is also brilliant, and then you play 3, and then I reconsider the series. Like, what was Metal Gear Solid 2 a fluke in how good it is? And because I feel like, for me, with Kojima personally, I feel like 3 is the beginning of the end for me with a lot of his shtick. Like, this is kind of where, you know, I consider him less the crazy, brilliant game director and more like weirdo pervert. Like, I don't know. Like, it's not just that. I think like the actual like directing and you know, like I think Metal Gear Solid 1 and 2 I think are legitimately funny games. And 3, it's not funny. And there are so many scenarios where it could be funny, but he just doesn't write the jokes, or he writes bad ones. But two, like, Raiden is always like, making a reference or pointing out how absurd it is. I think it really works. I don't know.
Omar, I'm trying to think.
What's your ranking, Omar?
What's up?
What's your ranking?
2, 1, 3. Yeah.
Oh, so I think that's all of us then.
Yeah. So that's the universal for the. We're continuing on the Longplay Club ranking. It is 2 at number 1, then 1, then 3. But
I'm excited for next game because I think that will throw some wrenches in some things.
Definitely.
So
I'm so curious, Jack.
I'm excited because this is the first Metal Gear Solid on PS3, right? So this is definitely, and I think the only one, right? The only Metal Gear Solid on PS3.
You can play 5.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, right.
And Revengeance.
Right. Yeah. Oh right. There's Revengeance.
Well, that's not MGS, Christian.
Sorry, MGR.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I'm excited to just see like what it looks like and what it plays like, especially. I'm very excited.
Wasn't 4 used to like showcase the PS3, Omar? Like,
it was a real tech demo.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it's awesome. Get excited. It's gonna be cool.
Okay, yeah, and I mean, because like the only thing I've seen is the logos, because I gather the wallpapers and logos for the stream series for the streams like way in advance, just have them ready. There's like different like font iconography with this one, I'm expecting maybe like a very different vibe, perhaps, So it's wait, let me look at the wallpaper I chose for this. I bet
while you're looking for that,
the other ones. Yeah, go ahead.
I'll just say, Kevin, I'm going to be there for the first 10 minutes of your Metal Gear Solid 4 stream, and I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to have a great time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ooh, wait, I actually like this wallpaper. Actually, here, look, I'm gonna send it here in the chat because also attached is the Zemo cut. They released the Zemo cut. I was gonna put that afterwards, but yeah, okay, yeah, that's a cool looking wall. Okay, I'm excited for that. I'm excited.
So
interesting.
I there was one we haven't touched on the post credits thing at all. I don't know if you want to do that now or.
There's a few things I want to mention about the ending of the game.
Yeah. Because
okay, should I just run through them real quick?
Sure, run through them.
All right. So there's one moment I want to say I thought was really good, and that is when Snake is holding the Patriot up to the boss, right, for that last shot. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know that is you could press the shot button or something to accelerate that. So I kind of let it hang for like a minute and a half, and I thought that was a reference to, forgive me guys, the Neon Genesis Evangelion anime from the 90s, hugely influential in Japan. There's one scene where a big mech robot is holding a guy in his fingers, and they just freeze frame that one image for like 90 seconds, and you think your TV is broken. And a similar thing here, I just thought that was awesome. Then I think we should probably mention the whole like Eva being an agent for China. Did we talk about that?
Not really.
But well, I thought that was cool, and it made me almost consider like, oh, maybe was she just using the sex to charm Big Boss? Was that the whole thing? So is that, should we excuse the horniness because there was a point to it?
I mean,
no.
Jack's a hard no.
Spoilers, Kojima's gonna do that again, in a different way. But like, I don't think having shitty representation for the majority of a game is justified by having a reason for it, because it's still, by the end of the day, it's shitty representation, even though it's like, oh, because X, Y, and Z, this is why she's dressed like that. It's like, is it though, or did you create this character and then find a reason for it? Because I think that's more like
that one happens later, but I do think that there's something to say of like, Omar, who wrote Bayonetta?
I don't know. I know Hideki Kamiya directed it, but I'm not sure. That's a man-made game by men.
Right.
Like, yeah.
But with Bayonetta, at least from the I've read things about Bayonetta and think pieces and stuff, but people are cool with Bayonetta because it's written in a way where she owns it. So she
owns it, and it's ridiculous and dumb. I think the sexualization in that game isn't to make you horny; it's to just be ridiculous.
So I think there's a world where Eva has all the reasons to justify it, and it'd be okay because she could have agency over it, but it's bungled.
Sure, I think you're right. And let me be clear: I wasn't saying that as something. But No. I think that cutscene is pretty awesome, where Snake is smoking that cigar, and then that tape recording busts. I think it's great.
Yeah.
We didn't really touch on that though, but I do love that they very specifically make the differentiation between Solid Snake and Big Boss, because Big Boss smokes cigars. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
I think that's fun.
My one last thing I really was desperate to bring up was I think that scene with Snake meeting the president, Big Boss, and then getting the title, like, you are better than the boss. You are Big Boss. And knowing that this is just him explaining the name of some obscure NES game character pains me in a way. Like, I don't think you need to explain that. I don't think you need to... The whole premise for this game is almost just flawed to me. Like, why did you make this? I think Black Ops is a better Metal Gear Cold War game, to be honest. Like,
Why did I bring up Black Ops?
You brought up Black Ops to me. We were talking about Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I did.
Yeah.
But, like, imagine if Kojima wrote Reznov in that game. Like, what if we had the Reznov in here?
Wow.
Like, wouldn't that be cool?
Oh my, I can really tell we have similar thoughts about Black Ops.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
I used that to explain. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Good times. Shout out to Black Ops.
That guy's awesome. Shout outs.
10 out of 10.
But yeah, I think, not to get too into about Kojima later on, but I think I feel like Metal Gear Solid 2 is really good at not telling you everything. Tells you a lot, but lets you think about things for yourself. And then I think Kojima, with like some of these actions in this game, he just gets into explaining his lore so much, or like, it's just why I don't need it. I just let me think about it, or just forget that this character existed. I don't know.
Yeah, because I think I know the answer to why it exists. Like, one exists to make commentary about the turn of the century, sort of, and the nuclear stuff, and just making a game of that, because that hasn't been a game before. And two, you're making a commentary on the digital age and all that stuff, and at the same time criticizing the first game. 3 exists to be a Metal Gear game. Like, that's it. That's the reason they made it, And Omar, I know you brought this up, I think, with both games so far, but like, Kojima's always wanted to get out of Metal Gear. Like,
yeah,
I don't know,
Because again, this is the last time I'll bring this up right now. I swear, but like, Metal Gear Solid 2 is so good about being a sequel and what that means, and I think 3 just really does feel like almost a factory made, not factory. It has heart to it, but like, it's more Metal Gear for you fans. Like,
and it's reactionary too.
Yeah.
Like, this game wasn't made in the same way that Metal Gear Solid 2 was made as a sequel to Metal Gear Solid 1. Like, this is very much like, people didn't like certain things about the second game, and like the developers knew that, and going into that they took that in mind, and that's very clear in what this game turned out to be. For some people, that is a very good thing. For us, it seems like it was not.
Yeah, I think because mainly, and this is the last thing I'll say about this, but like, it just screams of fan service, and even within this series, they've done fan service so much better. Like, I cannot wait to play the next game. I will say that. That's all I'll say about my thoughts on 3. But, should we talk about the post-credits scene before we wrap up? Because that's pretty major. You got Ocelot getting a little bit of insight into him again.
Being a triple agent.
Yeah. Again, like, just kind of being complex for the sake of it. Like,
yeah, I was Adam the whole time. Okay.
I almost said that in like our first or second episode. I'm
surprised you remembered that.
Yeah, I totally forgot that.
Yeah.
Blew me back, because I remember telling stream, like, did we ever figure out who Adam was? Like,
literally earlier in the stream, Kevin, you asked that.
Yeah,
you were like,
I was like, maybe he was here. Honestly, I know there was a Adam Denska that was said, right? And I'm like, okay, that's oddly close to Adam a little bit, right? It has Adam in it, But yeah, Ocelot being Adam was, yeah, that was quite interesting.
Yeah,
sure.
And that's why I brought this up earlier in this episode, the fact that Ocelot's always like, let me take care of him. and he always fucks up. And Kevin, you're like the last straw. Why can't this guy do it, right? Like, he's not trying to. He's trying to make cover, you know. And he's still young enough where I think he can make it seem like a flub and be okay with it and walk away. But the whole time, he never wanted to kill him, you know, because he was his guy. So
in that plane, when you pick up the revolvers, right, you get two choices. I think I took the one on the left, and then that meant I didn't shoot. I shot aside from Ocelot, right? I don't know if that's how it is for every pickup, or is that
I went with the left one, and I was able to shoot, but there was a blank. Yeah,
the left one always has the blank. Yeah,
has a blank.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I picked the right one.
The right one is always empty. And the left one always has the blank. I
thought
no matter whether you're shooting directly at his chest or like off to the side. When I first played it, I made sure to shoot off to the side, even though I know he wasn't going to kill him, just to make sure I like preserve that count. But yeah, that's just always how it is.
Okay, I see. I thought I could have sworn like a bullet pierced on his side or something, but no, I guess not. Yeah. Weird choice in there.
Yeah, so that sort of places Ocelot in an interesting point by the end of the game, because, right, like, his mother was the boss. She was kind of the first Patriot. After this game ends, the Patriots are formed. We see Ocelot in 1 and 2 being the double agent, potentially. Well, I mean, in 2, Ocelot's just straight up, he's like, I'm an agent of the Patriots, right? Like, that's his deal in 2.
Well, you remember the boss's baby was taken by the Patriots, right? Or not? Sorry, the
philanthropy.
No, yeah, right.
That philanthropy is taken. Philosophers
in this one, yeah. Was that it? Right.
I think so.
Yeah.
So and that would make sense why he's with the Russia, because the philosophers were the Russian version of the Patriots. So
yeah.
I don't know if this is answered, but I know like in the end credit, we get like the Patriots are formed. Haven't the Patriots? Didn't we learn in Metal Gear Solid 2 that the Patriots have been dead for like hundreds of years?
I was thinking about this. That was the Wise Men's Council, which were agents of the Patriots. But I believe that yes, that is a mystery that is out there now, because if the Patriots were formed in the 20th century, what does that mean?
Gotcha.
The Wise Men's Committee, or Council. Sorry, the game's crazy.
Yeah, but. Is there anything I'm missing about the implications of that Otacon thing? Or, not Otacon, sorry, the Ocelot thing?
I was barely following it, to be honest. Like, I didn't know what was happening.
I feel like it's more setup than anything.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, you know Ocelot is going to be doing this in the future. I guess put it at the end of the game, because that's what we did in the first one. So, so Eva stole the Philosopher's Legacy for China. That's a fake. So China doesn't have the Philosopher's Legacy. The U.S. does. And he was an agent of the CIA, essentially. Which is weird. I mean, I guess that makes sense being secret agents and all, but like him and Snake have the same boss, essentially.
Deep cover, Jack. Deep cover.
Yeah,
nobody knows.
Exactly.
But I do like that too, you know, because like you're meant to, you know, sort of trail off about Ocelot and Big Boss, because you know in Metal Gear Solid 1, Ocelot thinks very highly of Big Boss. They were buds. They worked together for all those years, and we see them sort of reach a point at the end of this game where, like, hey, maybe sometime soon they're gonna squad up. It's nice. I like that part.
That stinger after the Ocelot finishes his speech, where it's like brown out. Wait, that's James Bond, but it does something like that.
Yeah.
It was exactly that.
I thought it was.
Was it exactly James Bond song?
Thing. Oh, it sounded exactly like the James Bond. Yeah.
All right. Well, that explains it. Really dumb. I kind of liked it. Actually, no, I hated it, but it was stupid.
Well, do we want to run through end screens, Jack?
Oh yeah.
I know you're eager. Let's hear it. What's up? What do you got?
So, like I said, I went through this whole game without killing Soul. I got that trophy for the first playthrough. Ended up getting the platinum. I got a whole separate screen that I won't go through for the platinum playthrough. But my main playthrough, played on normal. It took me 17 hours, 35 minutes, and 38 seconds. I saved 42 times. I continued 4 times, entered the alert phase 40 times, killed 0 people. I was seriously injured 48 times. My total damage was 10 life bars. I used 5 life medicines. I captured 28 kinds of plants and animals, and I ate 49 meals, and I didn't use any special items. My title. Pigeon.
Oh, what?
That's sick.
Pigeon. No, it's not. I'm
That's
not
cool.
a
That's
pigeon
sick.
man.
That's dope. You should be
Jack,
proud.
I'm sorry.
Well-
You know what, Jack? For you, bro, I would switch code names if we could.
That's fine. You know what? I'll keep Pigeon because I'm thinking of the Pigeon Man from the second best Nickelodeon show, Hey Arnold. So I will imagine the Pigeon Man just floating off into the sunset. My second title was Carotan, which were the little green frog things that you can find in.
That's cool.
That's good.
Yeah, but I'm gonna go with Pigeon because that I'm not counting the platinum.
Well, welcome to the panel, Pigeon. Omar, let's hear what you got.
Sure. Difficulty very easy. Playtime 12 hours, 37 minutes, and 15 seconds. I saved 22 times, continued 10 times, alert phase 33 times, humans killed 57, seriously injured 55, total damage 19 life bars, life medicine used 4 times, plant and animal captured 10 kinds, meals eaten 25 meals, special item easy gun, and I'm the Jaguar again. I think I said that earlier, but yeah, I'm a Jag.
Nice.
Do I make you horny, baby? I'm sorry. That came out of nowhere.
Kevin, what's up? Let's hear it.
All right. Very easy difficulty. 10 hours, 5 minutes, and 10 seconds for the playtime. I saved 12 times. I continued 4 times. Alert phase was 9 times. I killed 54 people. I seriously injured 27 of them. I have 10 life bars for my total damage. Life medicine was 5 times. Plants and animals capture was 4 kinds. Definitely wasn't doing any of that. I ate 8 meals. 8 meals that I ate. That's a hard word to say. Deal. My special item was the easy gun, and my title is Scorpion.
Ooh.
And I do want to know whose signature is that
That's Kojima's, right?
on the. Is it really?
Pretty sure.
That's really cool. It says like 1969 on it though.
Is it? It looks like an H.
Yeah,
I guess it would be Hideo Kojima. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's
it
his
is
weird
Hideo
H.
Kojima. Yeah, that makes sense.
The
Yeah.
second part of that looks like Kevin. H. Kevin.
It does look like Kevin.
Right?
It does.
No
Yeah,
name
it does.
entered in this one.
Damn.
Kevin, I was pretty close to you, actually. I played on easy. I was 11 hours, 10 minutes, and 3 seconds. I saved 11 times, continued 3. I went into alert mode 23 times. I killed 51 people. I seriously injured 20 of them. Total damage was 7. The animals was 9. Meals, 25. My code name was Scorpion. I did not
Nice.
write down the special item. I forgot what I got, but... Yeah, we still got twins. The twin Scorpions now.
Heck yeah. Let's go.
Feels good.
You'll love to see it.
You guys, wait, Christian, you're a Scorpion too?
Yeah.
Fuck. Jack on a pigeon as well. Don't worry.
The twin pigeons.
Yeah, we're
Well.
flocking together.
Stupid. Walking together. Oh my
It
god.
sounded way worse than I thought it would.
Well, that is Snake Eater. There is... We can only go up, you would assume. Next week, or the next episode you see of this, will be the beginning of Metal Gear Solid 4 Guns of the Patriots. We are playing all of Act 1. Each episode for that game is just going to be broken up into acts because they were very considerate. Kojima, again, reading the future, he was like, oh, I know they're going to be doing the Longplay Club. I'll just make it straight and simple for him. I'll just break it up easy for him. So yes, next up is Metal Gear Solid 4. Expect that in the sub boxes soon. But yeah, anything we want to do for the wrap-ups? We got our plugs we want to do. We got final thoughts on 3. If you want to give it a score, feel free to give it a score. And then I guess Looking ahead to 4, I'd like Kevin to go last so he can give any other wild predictions about 4, just because he's the pure one. But Jack, let's hear everything. Let's hear the roundup.
Sure. So final thoughts about Metal Gear Solid 3. Overall, I think it is a good game, but in comparison to Metal Gear Solid and Metal Gear Solid 2, I think this game has a lot of issues, like we talked about, in terms of characterization, just not all being there. The story being very bland and not really going anywhere, beyond just being a parody of James Bond and things like that and Cold War stuff. I think by the end we get interesting characterization with the boss and kind of with Big Boss, but I think there's a lot of room to grow, like I said. In terms of going forward to Metal Gear Solid 4, 4 and 2 historically were always amongst my favorite. Now the slate has been wiped clean now because we're going through this again, and that could change, but I remember thinking very highly of those two games. So I'm, like I said, I think before recording, Omar was nervous about replaying 2. I'm very nervous about replaying 4 because I think it has the potential to not hold up as much as it once did for me. But I know I will like some things going into that game, so I'm very much looking forward to that. And honestly, I might play that immediately after this recording because I'm quite stoked about that. But otherwise, you can find me on social media at Fascinated Jack. Christian and I have a Marvel's Avengers / MCU podcast called Excelsior, which you can find on JoyClicks or on podcast services around the world.
Very nice. Omar, let's hear it.
Yeah, I think Metal Gear Solid 3 was a mistake. I froze, sorry. I am... The last time I played Metal Gear Solid 4, I had finished 5th grade. It was...
Jesus Christ. Damn.
It is nuts. I am also a bit scared to replay it, because in a lot of ways, that was my first Metal Gear game I sat down and played. In a lot of ways, I feel like that was like the first like video game I really made sure to finish. And like I remember in a lot of ways, I feel like that kind of made me someone who got really interested in like films and games for the rest of my life. So I'm curious and scared, but mostly curious and excited. Anyways, plugs. I'm on twitch.tv/ohmsthe-chef. It's like a sleepover every time. Come through, please.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Very, very nice. Snake Eater, I will be surprised if anything ahead of us ends up ranking beneath it. That's not to say it's a bad game, but I think that it had every opportunity to do something interesting. Even the fact that it is being so simple, I think there was every opportunity for them to be like, it's simple for a reason. The only reason is that people didn't like to, and that's kind of BS, I think. And the mechanics don't save it enough. I think the ending really pulls it all together, wrangles it up in a way that still makes it a solid entry in the series, I think. By no means my favorite. Actually, my least favorite, but 4 I'm stoked to play because I never played 4. I watched a 13-hour recut of 4 the week I played 5. So I've never played 4. I'm very excited to see how it plays, how it controls. Just my memories of that viewing, I'm excited to experience it firsthand. In terms of other stuff, though, Twitter, Twitch, and TikTok, Chun2D2. This show right here, you can catch on youtube.com/joyclicks, along with all our other stuff, like Jack said. And audio services as well. If you enjoy the show, of course, 5 stars helps us out. And if you hate that we hate Metal Gear Solid 3, if you're not going to give us 5, don't go lower than 4. But, yeah, Kevin, let's hear what you're going to say. What are your thoughts on 3? Looking to 4 plugs. Let's hear it.
Yeah, 3, was was Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. You know, like I think the first half of that game is not that interesting. And it ends up being generally okay, but I still like am not really head over heels over MGS3, and that's pretty much all I have to like. I really don't have any in-depth thought, and like I just did not like MGS3 that much, you know, to be honest. Like there was some cool stuff. Again, the ladder scene, I would be really shocked if there's a scene that tops that moment in the entire Metal Gear Solid franchise. Like just the way they did that little ladder scene was perfect. It is kind of wild that a lot of stuff happened in MGS3, and the best takeaway I have is that ladder scene. like that's like kind of like, oh man, that tells you. But you know, that was cool. Like, you know, the Snake and boss fight was, I think, pretty memorable and all that. So it's not all bad, but generally speaking, like the lows are really low in Metal Gear Solid 3. That I think kind of weighs it down overall, in spite of some good stuff in there as a whole. But looking at MGS4, I'm scared for two reasons. One, I have heard of a super long cutscenes in MGS4, and you know that, like, I'm not particularly looking forward to that really at all. You know, like they gotta be really entertaining shit and like really good. Like, and I don't know if maybe it's unfair for me to say I don't know if it's gonna be entertaining. You know, who knows really? But like, I think bleeding into that, a big secondary concern I have after beating MGS3 is that like people liked MGS3 at the time, from what you guys have told me, right? So if they're susceptible to like having and taking into account reactionary elements in their next Metal Gear Solid game, like if looking at MGS2 in this reception and then what we got out of MGS3, right? If that's indicative of what happens with MGS4, I'm a little bit scared if they continue an MGS3 type of vibe and trend. You know what I'm saying? Like if MGS3 is what made the people happy, which I don't know how, but if it is, then, you know, I just am afraid that the rest of what we have to move forward is, oh, okay, cool, like the fans like this, let's just keep doing this and not do, you know, interesting stuff like MGS2, right? And not have like super thought-provoking stuff in Metal Gear games moving forward. So I'm a little concerned about that. But I am excited to see how this game progressed. Like the jump from PS1 to PS2 was insane. I doubt it'll be a huge jump from PS2 to PS3, but maybe it is. I don't know. Maybe. But I'm excited to see the game from a visual perspective and like gameplay wise, for sure. What we'll be doing in that, I mean, there's an eye patch. Wait, is that the opposite eye?
Could be fan art. You might have just gotten
okay.
Not official.
Okay.
Maybe.
Right. Okay.
I don't know.
Gotcha. Yeah, I almost hate when I have to make my predictions now for what's next, because I don't know. Like they've never really kind of followed a straightforward line as of yet, you know, and maybe this one does. Like maybe MGS4 picks up right after MGS3. I don't know. And like it's him being Big Boss and dealing with that and what that means, and like, you know, and him living with the truth of what happened to Big Boss, right? Or the boss and all that, right? Like, I'd be curious to see if there's something of like, hey, he's still gonna see sorrow and the boss in certain things in like MGS4. Like, I wonder if that's still there.
Like Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah, yeah, like something like that. Like, also, I wonder where's my boy Otacon. It's a full game without Otacon. It's my least favorite MGS. Maybe that's indicative of things. I don't know, you know. But
Kevin,
but
can I
yeah.
ask you 2 questions?
Yes, please.
So I want to know your final guess on who you're playing as in Metal Gear Solid 4, and I want to know who you would really like to play as in Metal Gear Solid 4 if you had to pick.
Oh, if I had to really,
yeah, if there's a sequel to Metal Gear, who you want to play as?
Right now, as of right now.
Yeah, sorry.
Throw me into the deep end. Just like let me play as Otacon. Fuck it. Let me just do something wild. Like fuck it.
It's a surveillance camera game. It's Five Nights at Freddy's or some shit.
Yeah, all right. Yeah. Give me. Maybe it's the like Peter Parker like lab experience where I'm like doing the lines and shit like that, like mashing them up. You know, something like that.
You're doing lines, all right. Sorry.
but I think kind of realistically, I think I'm gonna probably be just Big Boss and just dealing with this similar era. Maybe we're going to the 80s, you know, I don't know, like post Cold War era, you know. I think it'd be interesting, but maybe they do some weird stuff about like the birth of internet, or like some meta thing about like, oh, this inception of like video games, oh, like the something like that. I don't know, but yeah, I think Big Boss is probably my guess. But I would love to see Otacon just to give me something weird.
Mm-hmm.
I miss the homie.
Fair enough.
You know.
Well,
but yeah. Use that conference as PlayStation Source. Road to Rift Apart. That's going great first episode. Save Slot Podcast. Final Fantasy VII videos were up this week. And yeah, Twitter at PS Source Vids. All that good stuff. We're starting Resistance 2 at some point. Probably the day after you watch this. Probably on Tuesday. We're starting some Resistance 2. Very excited for that. And yeah. Also, forgot to mention this entire episode. I like the shirt, Jack. I like the Firefly shirt. I like it.
Thank you.
Nice. Well, we have Metal Gear Solid 4 awaiting. As we're signing off, is anybody's favorite moment in the entire series in this game? Yes or no? Very quickly. Yes or no?
No.
No,
but maybe.
It already happened.
Maybe.
I'd have to think about that, but possibly. But
there's one thing I'm thinking, but yeah. Well, we'll see what happens with that. Of course, we'll be back, and if you want to follow along, you can follow along in the individual playlists on youtube.com/joyclicks, and if you want to support, patreon.com/joyclicks, $5 tier YouTube producer credit like Chris Sakis and Aaron Easton. So thank you all. But to sign off this week, thank God. You know? Feels good. Feels great.
I think we should sign off with one Snake Eater in unison.
Okay.
If you don't mind.
Go for it. That's a perfect idea.
All right. The whole song?
No. Omar, would you like to sing the whole song? Would you like to sing the whole
song?
Maybe at the end of this whole thing, maybe we can do that.
Okay.
But here we go. 3, 2, 1. Snake Eater.